My God is glorious, and his gospel is glorious. Father, loving the Son in the Spirit, before the foundation of the world, before there was anything, my glorious God was and is love. Out of his love I was created, not needed but wanted and loved. While I loved the dark, while I called evil good, and rejoiced in the darkness of sin, my glorious God came to be light to me. Still I chose to run from him. Born as a baby to run after me and meet with me where I am. Jesus, eternal Son of the Father, met with me where I am. He went to the cross and carried for me my shame and my guilt and my sin. Laid down his life and offered me mine. Born again, reconciled to God. He calls me brother, calls me friend. Father God sees me as righteous through him. He offers a place in his bosom, eternally loved and forgiven. He went to the cross and carried for me my shame and my guilt and my sin. Willingly he laid down his life and offered me mine. Born again, reconciled to God for all time. He calls me brother, calls me friend. Father God sees me as righteous through him. He offers me a place in the Father's bosom, eternally loved and forgiven. Eternally loved and forgiven. My God is glorious, and his gospel is glorious. The gospel, the good news, is Christ in me. He's my Lord, and he'll never leave. Look at Jesus, how beautiful is he. So glorious, so powerful, so lovely. His life in each breath I give out and take in. My God delights in me, and I delight in him. Forever I'll sing praises of my glorious God. My God is glorious, and his gospel is glorious.
This CI Ministries to talk about what is happening in Britain. Tommy Robinson and his Silence movie, and Tommy Robinson ends up in jail and in prison actually. And that's not enough. We find out that the gentleman who murdered 3 kids apparently turned up to be Muslim. Interesting day. Anyway, let's say hi to my guests. Let's do with right to left. I don't know if it is right or left, but we start with John. Peace of Christ be with you, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
By God's grace, I'm good. Thank you. Can you be kind enough and then just summarize for us who you are, where people can find you, as well as how come you end up in my movie night live streams?
Okay, that's a good question. So I'm a science fiction author, a Christian science fiction author. Write stories about time travel and other science fiction stuff with the idea of changing culture and pointing people towards Christ. And then we also do a YouTube channel at the same time that does a review. We do a review on movies, and that's how I think I ended up with and helping you with it. And it's been great working with you with that. And we look for Christian themes in movies to be able to give a springboard for conversation to talk about Christ, and that's at at Newton Sci-Fi on YouTube.
Thank you very much. I put the link to your channel in the description for people to kind of check it out. And I just wanted to point out before I move to Al, it's been expressed that John finds great working with me. There are some individuals in this live stream, no need to name, they will strongly disagree with you, John, but I'll just got that on recording, and I'll make sure people hear well. So, Sister, no need to name who was the person, of course. Sister Al, how are you doing?
Happy to be able to continue to work with Christ.
I was just kind of expecting it to say like, you're so awesome, but that didn't come.
You're okay.
I am okay. I am a forgiven sinner. Anything? I think we kind of saw each other on Saturday in a live stream where we. What did we do on Saturday? What was the topic?
It was the
11?
movie
Lady of Heaven.
Yeah, Lady of
Yes,
Heaven.
Lady of Heaven. How have you been since then?
Definitely provided for by God. Also saddened by the continuous efforts of governments such as the UK to suppress freedom, to suppress Christians, to suppress Christ, and allow Islam to reign free. But we know who wins in the end, and in the meantime, we're here to try to help.
Yeah. Well, you expressed that you are sad by what's happening in UK. Just it looks like it's heading to your direction. It is heading to your direction. Brother, your brother in Christ, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. God is good, so am I. So I'm doing good. Like I said, I run Your Brother in Christ here on YouTube, so that's where people can find me as far as what I'm doing and why I am here. I am here because I said yes to you to do this live stream. So I got sucked in. Well, actually, it's been a chain of live streams because we did one, and then I got sucked into another, and then I got sucked into another, and it's been a fantastic time. So
I think when I saw you back in July in the conference, I noticed you guys, you don't watch that much movie, and all I do is like just sit in front of the TV, put my feet up, and then watch movie. I just thought like we can watch same movies and then we can talk about it. I can like, there are people who don't watch movies and then they just read. I just thought I'll take you out from that reading circle and then put you in front of the telly. I'm very thoughtful.
As long as you bring the popcorn, it's good.
I know what her seasoning is from her rings. I don't know that I want her popcorn.
That's true.
Let me see. I
Yeah.
got my rings.
No, thank you. I'll pass. I like nachos anyways.
Pretzels are better.
Racism and Islamophobe causes cancer, so watch out.
That is true. Sorry.
Sister Kay, how are you doing?
I'm doing well by God's grace. And yes, Hatun, you are so amazing.
Say it again so everyone hears it.
You're gonna send me that money later for saying that, right?
That money needs to come from Jews.
Okay. Oh yeah, that is true. But yes, I'm doing well by God's grace.
Anyway, it seems like this team is like my movie team. This is like our third movie we are doing. Actually, what we are going to do is not kind of movie, it's a documentary. We just want to kind of review it. Main reason is because of this documentary end up on social media. Tommy Robinson ended up in prison for 18 months. And he was sentenced yesterday. You are all in America. Let me ask you first, how did you come across with Tommy Robinson? Like, he's in UK.
Well, I'll say that I have heard about him before, maybe just because of the different circles I'm in, and because he's outspoken and vocal and looking to retain rights. There's a lot of things that are happening, not just in the UK, like you said, but also in the US and throughout Europe, where there has been I don't know, it's like it's global. For example, some of the movements that have taken place, like BLM and others, I thought that was just in the US. It's not. It's why in the world would that be in the UK? And so there's a lot of questions that come up with this, and then the government response. It's almost like groupthink from the government. All these governments almost acting in the same way to reduce human rights. And so I think we see this across the board. What's happening there is also happening here. So that's why we're maybe aware of what's happening with Tommy Robinson.
Okay. And Al, or your brother in Christ, how did you come across with him?
Same. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you muted me. Oh, no. Kidding. No, we just heard about him passing. We've seen a couple of people do interviews with him, but didn't really take a too terribly look into him personally. At least I didn't. I don't know if you did.
Yeah, I've seen him active on social media, and I've continued to follow him more and more this year. Especially after I've seen him actually post several things in support of you, Hatun. So I thought, well, if he likes her, he can't be all that bad.
Or his judgment's
Tommy Robinson thinks I am lovely.
You said what?
Even Tommy Robinson thinks I am lovely.
Yeah, he must have something right.
Yeah.
But I've seen him continue to be attacked by the left, by the UK government, by so many, by Muslims, angry citizens. And so when I see that kind of thing happening, especially where it seems like everybody hates someone, I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? Like, why? Why is there such an outrage? Why is there so much? And just like Eric was saying on I think our last live stream that we did with you, if people were to just be quiet and not raise a fuss about these things, then, I might never have heard of Tommy Robinson if it weren't for people constantly attacking him, government constantly going after him. And this has been like a long-term thing where I've seen just more and more over the years, things against him being blocked from going certain places, etc. So that's continued to raise my interest. And so because of all the outrage against him, I've been able to look into what he's doing more.
No, actually, pointing that out, that was how I heard about him the first time, was people were complaining about this racist over here. And I'm like, really? Okay, let's take a look. So it's like, guys, stop complaining, and I would actually not hear about these things. It's because you guys whining about it.
Yeah, and I'm not like familiar with all of his past and everything. I've seen plenty of statements about his past, but it's hard to tell what's true and what's not, because I know so much of what's been thrown against him more recently is untrue. And so it's kind of like hard to know entirely, but I do see him fighting against a lot of things that are evil, and based on that, I'm at least grateful for him willing to take a stand. But sad that so many people are fighting against him in that.
Yeah. Well, we live in a times where evil is called good, so nothing new here. Sister Kay, you are based in USA. How did you come across with Tommy Robinson?
I think it came probably across, like you said, across my feed, where he actually, was it his documentary about the I want to say it was a documentary about the trafficking, the grooming gangs. It came across, as well as my experience in the UK. I don't know if you recall, I had a lovely introduction to the UK. So when I went to Speaker's Corner, it was very, very, very live, to say very lively. It was following a week after you were attacked. And a particular group of young men from Tommy Robinson's group, young black men, mixture of men, they actually surrounded us and allowed you to speak because they were trying to silence your voice, you know, the religion of peace. They were trying to silence your voice, press in on the crowd. And so that was, I mean, I guess that was my past and present experience with him. And so if he is as racist as he is, he definitely shouldn't be helping people like you and myself. So I guess that was my experience, is watching his documentary and noticing the pattern of them calling him racist. And I know that's just pretty much a way to silence people, especially like those who are vocal about evil things in our society, is to call them racist and to dismiss what it is that they're saying.
You are just reminding me the part from a Matt Walsh movie where he says, I have 17 black friends. Oh, sorry, maybe I've got only 15. I come across with Tommy Robinson first time when so in Britain we have these Islamic grooming gangs. Muslims intentionally hunt down white British girls, rape them, use them for prostitution for years and years, almost actually decades. And what happened was media turned blind eye, police turned blind eye, social media turned blind eye, social services turned blind eye, everyone turned blind eye because no one wanted to call Islamophobe. And that caused thousands and thousands of white British girls to suffer. So Tommy Robinson is the one who brought attention to that. I think that's kind of why he kind of identified as racist, because he stand up for white British girls. And then after that, he got arrested for reporting grooming gangs breach of peace. And then he turned up the Speaker's Corner week after I got hit by a Muslim man. From that, it turned up, from that kind of, I got in touch with him. By that stage, I never been in touch with him. So after he came to Speaker's Corner, actually before he came to Speaker's Corner, I heard that he's coming to Speaker's Corner because people start emailing me and saying, you shouldn't associate with him. And then police was kind of, okay, he's coming for you, all that. And then he turned up to Speaker's Corner and he got arrested at Speaker's Corner. He wanted to kind of simply say, well, you shouldn't beat a woman at Speaker's Corner, but they kind of put him in jail. I sat down with him a couple of times in certain occasions. Of course, I agree with him on everything, but there are lots of things, what he does, I agree, as well as I think, doesn't matter I agree or disagree with him, he should have his voice to talk about it. But in Britain now, if you expose evil, you are identified as criminal, and then everyone comes after you as well as after your loved ones. So what we are planning to do today is we are going to talk about his documentary that caused him to end up in prison for 18 months. Kind of see what is happening on all that. So documentary, kind of background of the documentary is back 3 years ago in Yorkshire area, two school boys were kind of end up on internet, on social media. White school boy is putting water, pouring water on the mouth of Syrian schoolboy, and it ended up all over the social media. This was very racist attack that white British boy is simply abusing this child, and then it got everyone's attention, and then people kind of comment on it. Apparently this Syrian boy and his lawyer, no one needs to kind of guess who his lawyer is. His lawyer was also the same lawyer who was lawyer for Shamima Begum, this jihadi bride terrorist, as well as his lawyer to other jihadis. Anyway, of course, doesn't matter. Everyone has right to hire whom they want to hire as a lawyer. And lawyers' job is to make sure they represent their client under the law of their best of interest. So this Syrian boy apparently hired a lawyer, or lawyer ended up being his lawyer, and they decided they are going to sue Tommy Robinson for the comments he made on the social media about the Syrian boy. Apparently this young boy just got very much affected by it. And in the documentary, Tommy Robinson is kind of trying to find witnesses to turn up to his court hearing to kind of deal with it. It turns out no one wants to come to the court hearing, and then he just records people secretly, shares the court, what's happening, all that. That's overall kind of summary of over an hour documentary. I think it was 1 hour, 45 minutes or something. So that's all about documentary. And then individuals reported that documentaries on social media, because in that court hearing, apparently judge ruled 2 years ago. That's very interesting. Judge ruled that he cannot talk about the case. He cannot publish informations about the case. So Tommy Robinson published the documentary, and then that caused him to end up in prison. Simply, he disobeyed the order of the judge. So that's kind of overall the documentaries. Anyone wants to add anything before I plug things off?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was actually, as we were watching this documentary, I was kind of wondering, because I knew why he was going to prison. I was kind of wondering if we got the wrong one, because it doesn't seem like it was that bad as far as damaging goes, at least at the beginning. It snowballs as it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and continues. But again, it's...
So he's in the prison because when judge told him, do not talk about it, do not publish anything about it, so he published it.
Yes.
That's why he's in prison.
But I guess my question to try to understand, I'm along with Brother Eric, why? Like, was he a part of the case? Was he a significant? Because everyone else had it all over the media about the case.
I guess one of the first questions would be why judge doesn't want anything to be published about it. What they are trying to hide, if they are trying to hide anything.
That is the big question. Why is this such a big deal? This should not have been such a big deal. I mean, they claimed that the media came out and claimed that he was being waterboarded, and the verbiage that's used there is like, oh my gosh, that's a form of torture, right? You're holding someone down. You have a piece of cloth. There is an actual procedure for waterboarding. You have a piece of cloth over them. They cannot move. You're just putting a little bit of water just in certain times so they can't breathe because they feel like they're drowning. They're not actually drowning, but they feel like they are. There's a whole procedure to this. 2 kids getting in a tussle on the playground at a school, and one kid have a bottle of water and pour that on the other kid. That is not the procedure of waterboarding. Yet the media went with this narrative and painted Bailey, that was the child that was the aggressor here, in such a bad light, not showing anything that had preceded this. This is a lot like a lot of these cop videos that have been popular in the U.S. with coming out and saying, aren't these cops being so bad? And there are times where there are policemen that go across the line. There's police brutality. There have been cases where police have planted evidence and done illegal things. Times where police get charged for manslaughter because they go over the top. But a lot of these videos had been, just like this one, not showing the context of what was happening. This kid, can I say his name or should we not say his name?
I think for the I don't know, maybe safety of the child, let's call him Syrian
Okay.
child or something.
So the Syrian child was harassing the other kids. He was a bully to all the younger children and to the girls. He was a bully to the teachers. Now, this is all not just what Tommy Robinson was saying. What's that?
Yeah. So Tommy start talking about it. The problem was, no, everyone is kind of give the image this child is just innocent. So when Tommy said, no, he was a bullier, he was this, that kind of caused damage to the child. He needed a lawyer to defend him.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of backstory to the Syrian child that was there, and I was 15, I think, at the time of the incident.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not talking about an 8-year-old here. We're talking older. He had made threats to the attacking child that he was going to say, I'm not sure how family friendly we want to keep this, assault them in a sexual way, assault his sisters.
The British boy has 2 sisters, 9 years old. Syrian refugee says he's gonna rape his sisters.
Right.
But that's not in the camera, so we are like, no one is sharing that side of the story.
No.
All we are seeing is just like 2 boys are having fight in playground.
Right. And he was also aggressive towards all the female teachers.
Yeah.
So there is a real history with this kid and lying a lot. Now, this is not just hearsay. This is actual school records that are shown in the documentary backing this up. Now, there's 2 sides to every story. But the problem is the media is only showing one side, and it's not even showing the full side. At the same time, paying off the teachers and the administrators in the school to say, don't say anything.
Yeah.
So they've got a gag order. Tommy's got a gag order. They're all hoping it's going to go away. But there's consequences to this. Huge ramifications. What happens when good people stay silent?
Something to think about it. Like, just also, I don't know if you follow British news, but back in end of July, we had this scene circulating all over social media in Manchester airport. Police is simply harming Muslim men. Did you come across with that?
No.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, so police kind of hitting this Muslim man at airport who is on the ground, all that. So that's the only video circulating few days on social media, okay? And then lawyer comes, Muslim lawyer, who stands for Hamas stuff, turns up, he's going to be their defender for these individuals who got beaten by police, all that. This is just racism. And then 2 or 3 days after, someone linked the full video. Full video is, these Muslims are breaking the nose of female police officer at the airport. They are beating the police before police takes the action. So you've got like these background clips, but that's not what is circulating. Only little amount is circulating where police is looking pretty bad. And then still that thing is going on. These 2 Muslim men who kind of attack the police, they are still free on the streets. But not only that, police take legal action towards the person who linked the video, who linked the full video. They are taking criminal legal action to the person. So it seems there is something intentionally happening in Britain where we get to see the clips only fit with the purpose of certain groups. Same in this clip we are talking about in school ground. We are seeing the part only fits with the narrative that, oh, poor refugee boy who is being harmed by white British boy. But actually background is very disturbing. That's the same thing in Manchester airport. Background is very much disturbing, but no one wants to talk about that background. Right.
And that background is important because otherwise you get a slanted view of what's happening. You only get one side of the story, and it's fairly well crafted. And they went, how much money was spent on this to silence people?
Over 260,000.
Yes, I said too. And actually, I was listening to that portion. I said, those people, their values come very cheap. 250, 260,000 pounds.
Well,
I
and people are desperate. Anything is being given to them, or other option is like they are just fired without any money, so they just take what is given to them.
I agree. I wasn't in this situation, but I was in a situation where money was desperate, and a non-disclosure agreement was offered to me for a couple $1,000s, and I couldn't do it because I felt like I was selling my voice and my freedom.
Good
So
for you, sister.
I couldn't do it. So you know me, I'd be in trouble for telling.
Just before actually we do anything, I forgot to mention. In the past, I did live streams with Tommy Robinson, and almost all the videos which Tommy Robinson is in my channel are being blocked, or they've been limited where they can be seen, all those kind of things. And I think it was yesterday I received a message which was simply kind of gently, I don't know how to put that nicely, gently telling me to be careful and beware of the consequences of today's live stream.
So you received a message.
Email. Yeah.
Could you read that for us?
I don't have the kind of that braveness of reading people's email address, but
not their email address.
Emails, but it was simply saying like, it is crucial to note showing any footage directly linked to his conviction could potentially expose you to legal consequences of it. So those kind of things.
That sounds like a person in authority.
Yeah, you can label that person as
so they're threatening you for exposing their corruption.
That person as met if you want, but yeah. So I'm just bringing that to attention because if live stream kind of cuts off all those kind of things, that might be the one of the reason. But yeah, people usually don't like those live streams. What are they trying to hide is usually general question when these things happens.
Their corruption.
Again, stop making if they didn't make such a big deal about it,
yeah,
there wouldn't be anything to talk about, right?
To be honest, I didn't have time to edit out the video. I was editing and I'm just like, I don't have time to kind of do with this. We just like kind of have the screenshots much easier. And then when I got that email, I'm just like, I'll edit out.
Now that you told me not to do it, now how can I do it?
So this might be a good time. Tell me if this is a good time to just briefly talk about this. There's a difference. I didn't realize this until fairly recently. There's a difference in approach to human rights in Europe versus the United States. In Europe, you're basically allowed, the government tell you what you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
In the United States, we tell the government what it's allowed to do, since we have the rights and they don't. And there's like a big difference between, and there's sometimes people here have this mentality that the government is letting us do things by its graces. It's allowing us to do things, where it should be the other way around. We're allowing the government to do things by our good graces.
We hire them to kind of do their job. They are paid by my money. I hire them. I can fire them when the time comes. All that. In England and in Europe, it has been. We see it as a privilege that law allows me to go and speak. We see it as a privilege that government allowed me to watch something. Like, you've got very interesting cases in Britain. Judge orders someone to read a book because that person is apparently so far right. So judge ordered that individual to read certain types of book. So if he doesn't read them, he was committing a crime. He will be charged for it. We've got those kind of things. You've got police who tells you which part of the country you can go and you cannot go. You've got police who tells you what can you do, what can you say, what can you not say. Even you've got like police who sends you email to say like, oh, watch out for the live stream, there is legal consequences are coming. So Yes, now the very basic rights which we had, they are being treated as privilege now.
Right. So the government grants you rights, where here God grants us rights, and we have a constitution that keeps or supposed to keep the government from encroaching on those rights.
Yeah, and that's why they say inalienable rights, because it's inherent.
Yep.
Supposed to be, including in the womb.
Yes.
Our government is supposed to just protect those rights, and I believe it's the 9th Amendment, where it basically states whatever is not included in this, the rights go to the people. We have those rights too. You don't have, but right now, we have this idea that we keep leaning on the government to do this, to set us free, to bail us out, help us with our student loans, as opposed to us being self-sufficient and free.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the way the government wants us to be, because in a cancel society, you are pretty much under the government's thumb. Yeah, it's really unusual to me to see how the UK works.
In UK, just we call it two-tier justice, two-tier policing, all that. So it's just very much messed up. Even like have you noticed, like, we had riots back in August?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the reason those riots started because government wanted to hold very basic information from the people. And today it turned out that actually the gentleman who murdered 3 kids was simply has huge links with Al-Qaeda. So he was like Muslim, but intentionally government didn't want to share that information, all very basic. So just messed up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just watch out if kind of live stream goes off, or watch out if someone's freedom of speech is being taken away from that. So I just wanted to kind of express, Sister K, John, Newton's science fiction, I think that will be
Sci-fi.
Al and Eric. It is the privilege I am giving you in this live stream to speak.
I think
Thank
we
you
fought a
very
war
much.
about this a
He's
while
granting
ago.
us our rights.
I'm granting you these rights just for this live stream. Okay? Yeah, it's that's how Britain turned up. Anyway. Okay, so anything linked with the anyone wants to mention anything before I kind of do anything?
Nope, go for it.
No. Okay. So let me first put the article from BBC, which kind of how BBC reported the news. God knows how to make this bigger. No, that does. Okay, so if you can kind of look a little bit down, it says far-right activist Tommy Robinson has been jailed for 18 months after admitting contempt of the court by repeating false claims against a Syrian refugee. So he broke High Court order. I just wanted to emphasize the part where it says repeating false claims against Syrian refugee. So this has nothing to do with what happened at the court yesterday. This has nothing to do with his sentencing at all. They didn't even discuss if the documentary is true or false. No one even bothered to talk about that. Purpose of that court hearing was he was told to not share anything regarding this Syrian refugee event, but he put the documentary on it. So that was the kind of that was the purpose of that court hearing yesterday. So there is no kind of repeating of false information stuff. Don't fall into that. I just wanted to kind of bring that to people's attention. And another thing I want to bring to people's attention, John, do you want me to put your pictures on and then start with your pictures, or would you prefer with I think I'll put few of your pictures, because I can see first 3 pictures might be interested to us.
Okay.
And then I've got clips from the silence, and then we talk about that. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so this was the actual quote unquote waterboarding incident on the playground. The older boy on top, I guess you would maybe using ethnic terms. He's British, right?
We call him white British boy, yeah.
Okay, white British boy, and the Syrian boy is now why you're blurring out the Syrian boy, but not the British boy, because they're both minors. I don't know what the laws are there in the UK, so I couldn't say, but they're both minors, but you're only blurring out one. Again, that boy that's pinned to the ground, pretty much a bully, pretty much a real big troublemaker, a liar in school and everything, and he threatened the boy on top with raping his sisters, his younger sisters. So I'll tell you what, if I was on that field, yeah, can't say what I do, but something.
I could see his perspective on that.
I mean, he didn't bloody the kid; he just threw water on him.
Well, at the same time, in addition to that, the kid is actively threatening. He has gone through with threats beforehand. You know that your school hasn't done anything to address this issue, but yet it's allowed to continue. And as an older brother to younger siblings, you have a point to protect your younger siblings.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, people weren't focused on that part at all. So here's another screenshot from John.
Did that even get out? That didn't get out, right?
Yeah. So no one was talking about it. So what people were talking about it, this Syrian refugee boy attacked by classmates, and this has been going on for a while.
Wow. So
here's another one. On even like in CNN, young Syrian refugee attacked at UK school. So, and then you can see they are doing fundraising.
Yeah, the GoFundMe.
I should do some fundraising.
No, I was going to ask you to do that. Like, you attacked me, and I think I'll get more funding.
So this one is from it looks like more Turkish or Middle Eastern newspaper, but expressing that child is being attacked, and then and again child is Syrian refugees being attacked, and then that's how it ended up on the news. And then what happened was
this guy, the Imam Elmer Fudd. That's what he sounds like to me.
This is the same gentleman who caused teacher to hide. This is the gentleman who is always behind all these, like, Muhammad's honor thing, and then causing terror and stress to British people and putting their life in danger. This is that same junk. So they went in front of the school to defend this honorable Syrian refugee.
Now, Hatun, the laws that are in the UK, isn't there like laws against causing stress to individuals and, causing mental harm?
Yeah, there are laws. That's what this gentleman did. But that law applies to different people differently. So depend on your background, depend on who you are. Those laws apply differently. In the documentary, I'm guessing we will also pick up the way white British boy was treated versus Syrian refugees being treated. Yet they were under the same law. Two-tier justice and two-tier policing. So, but yeah, mob rules in UK.
Yeah, it's wow. I guess that just sounds very reminiscent to.
I can see John's mouth is moving, but his mic is muted. I don't know if he was talking to us.
The power of Sister K. She's speaking, so I can't speak over her.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, brother. You got it.
I was just going to say, we have, I think we've experienced that in recent years here in the U.S. as well. That's why I think this is just a global phenomenon. It's not just in the UK that we are seeing this across the board a two-tier system of justice where Antifa can do certain things, but other groups cannot, or certain, if it's left-leaning group, generally speaking, and I don't want to get too much on the political spectrum here, but there are things that you can get away with if you're one group, but you can't if you're another.
Yep.
But I think it's
Yeah.
even worse than that because it's exacerbated by constantly being told that it's the reverse of the situation. We're constantly told that, oh, white people can get away with anything. And, if a black person does something that's, far less severe than something a white person does, they're going to get twice the time in jail, or they're going to actually be punished when a white person would just get off scot-free. And it's like, that's not what we see. But actual criminals are getting away with things, and people who are trying to defend themselves, defend their families, defend their nation, those are the people who are getting in even more trouble.
And the term for that is called gaslighting.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the
An old
actual
movie.
term. I mean, like I said, I'm calling it. They do these. I don't even want to get into it because if I say it, it'll probably get me in a lot of hot water. But it's very reminiscent of a two-tier system to where you could go outside of somebody's house, circle a school, threaten people, and then all of a sudden nothing would happen to you. Everybody just kowtows and gives into your demands because you're threatening.
But they are very much aware that that group is very much aware that they can get away with these things. Therefore, they continue to do so, and police allowed them to do it. Judges are allowing them to get away with those kind of things. Our politicians are allowing them to get away with those kind of things. So, like, yes, they are giving those privileges, and they are using it. If people give me those privileges, I will use it too.
Now, this article says a racial assault. What about, if you guys have seen the video, what about the attack was racially motivated?
Nothing.
One child
Not
was
a thing.
Syrian, another child was white. Being white,
The assumption was because he was white. The motivation had to be racial, and that's not. And it bothers me because when real things happen that are race based, no one will pay attention to it because it's like crying wolf. So just because you see two schoolboys fighting, and just my thing is, if you just swap out a Syrian child and put two British white boys in that situation, would the headlines be as large? Would you have Pierce Morgan?
I don't think that even would be on the news, though.
It wouldn't make it. I mean, it might make it on social media, but it wouldn't go viral the way it did.
Yeah.
Well, no, even then, that seems to be something that's, sorry, but kids get into fights. And definitely if one kid says something along the lines of what that individual did say about the other kid's sisters, there's definitely going to be a fight there, regardless of the race, regardless of anything else. There's going to be a smackdown. And even then, you know what? That's sort of common in, school grounds to have fights every now and then. Now, if anything, he's treating them as an equal.
Isn't this, Hatun, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this in the area where they did have the rape gangs recently? The Pakistani rape gangs?
Not recently. It's been going on for decades. Yeah. In Britain, in many different cities and towns, we've got Muslim men were intentionally, Pakistani Muslim men, were intentionally hunting down white British girls and raping them and using them as prostitute, all those kind of things. Yeah.
So if you have a credible threat, now this is in U.S. law, if you have a credible threat, that's considered an assault. And if you have some wimpy kid over there on the side, so I'm going to kill you, it's like, oh yeah, whatever. But if you have somebody who is in that atmosphere says your sisters are next, that could that be considered credible?
That would be a credible threat under U.S. law, which then it's okay. You're allowed to defend if needed. Defend yourself in that situation, or defend the life of others in that situation.
In England, things are different. For example, a man can have acid, and he can be only 2 feet away from you, and police is present there, and it's been expressed to the police that man is there to throw that acid to you. So because he hasn't done anything, police doesn't do anything about it. Versus that would probably will be like potential crime in America. But in UK, no, that's okay because he just holds the acid and he hasn't done anything about it. Or someone can have like I don't know, like in my situation, for example, like police told me again and again, if someone is harming me, and at that stage, if I have pepper spray with me, I am breaking the law if I use that pepper spray to someone who is harming me. So I will be kept accountable by the law. So it's just, I don't know, like it's different. Depend, I guess, who is your lawyer, depend what is your background. But I've got like Usman letters after Usman letters, which says like, if I don't have right to kind of use anything to stop that, like I will be accountable under the law if I'm like defending myself stuff.
I'm sorry. I know that sounds terrible. I just have to take that risk. Like you're not going to kill me, and I could have stopped you with just pepper spray.
Yeah, so pepper spray is against law. Knife is against law.
You said knife is against laws?
Cutting knives, yeah.
Did they tell the Muslims that? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me mute.
Ooh.
I remember like once police came to my house and then they kind of looked at the things I had. They said, for example, I don't play hockey. If I had a hockey stick in my house and if I get attacked and if I use that hockey stick when I get attacked, I will be committing crime. So because I hold that weapon in my house.
Wow. So this has gone much farther than just guns.
Yeah, and the U.S. the way
against law, but yeah, people do have guns. But it's
I'm going to say the way the law works in the U.S. Like, say I had bear spray in my house and I go hiking, but if somebody came into my house to harm me and that was the only thing within reach, I legally have the right to use that for my protection. Now, if I like say I was driving around looking for somebody to strike up a confrontation with to use it, and I tell them like, yeah, I use it, I intended to use it, that's when they'll prosecute. Well, allegedly, because we don't know what they're doing with the Second Amendment these days. But according to the law, it should be I'd reach for anything within my reach to protect myself, and that.
In my case, like it would be different if I play hockey, then I have hockey stick in the house. So that's okay. But if I'm not playing hockey and if I've got hockey stick in the house, that means like I'm holding weapon in my house and I will be kept accountable by the law for that. That's what
do they allow sporks?
I know.
Plastic
like,
sports.
What do you occasionally, maybe you go to the hockey rink every 6 months.
Anyway, let's focus on this one. So laws are different. The point I guess we are trying to make is depend on your background, depend on your skin color, depend on your illegal situation in the country, law applies differently.
Yeah. So pulling it back to the topic of the two boys fighting at the playground, I know for a fact that there have been many, many fights on playgrounds for much less. Someone looks at you wrong, and you look at the wrong kid the wrong way, and he's going to bash your teeth in. If you got tell you truthfully, a cup of water being dumped on you, would fall under the prank category than actually anything else.
Yeah, not that it's okay, but I've seen things that have been labeled as pranks that are far worse.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like way, way worse, that are actually assaults. And like, yeah, don't go around dumping water on people, but if somebody's making an active threat against your family and has followed through with other threats, has caused permanent back damage to
Hmm.
a girl at the school, has been harassing teachers, been harassing other kids, etc. It's like, yeah, that was a pretty lightweight response.
Yeah, where's the cloth? Did he put a cloth over his face? I just want to understand, like
No,
the actual.
Sister K.
No
Child,
call.
child is not watching Russian movies or North Korean movies. Yes, he's been under the Assad regime. He kind of saw some things ISIS is doing.
Mhm.
Clearly, he wasn't expecting that would happen to him. So British child is not watching those movies, and Syrian child wasn't expecting. So he didn't come with, like, in the past. Apparently, he turned up with knife stuff, but at this stage, no, he kind of just turned up like that.
Yeah, I mean no, that's I was just asking, like, to be accurate. Like,
Asking for
let's
a friend.
yes, I'm asking for a friend that was waterboarded. There's no washcloth over the kid's face. I mean, he is being held down, but it's literally as an effort to degrade you because you have been degrading. And honestly, as I rewatched this, and I'm pretty sure the first time I watched it, I said, man, I wish I was a kid. Let me just say, I wasn't always saved, but I just that kid needed more than what he got. Let's just put it that way, and I'll leave it there.
So from what I understand, the police did get involved in this. It was like, okay, you come here, and it was all taken care of, as far as I know, properly at the
Sukul
time.
got involved.
What's that?
Sukul got involved.
Right.
Yeah. Police, like, after that, like, when it ended up on social media, kind of
Okay.
individuals, police got involved, school board got involved, all that. But this is happening in the land of the school. School is responsible to do disciplinary action or whatever needs to be done.
Okay. And it seemed like that was handled properly at the time.
Yeah, well, according to child, no, because according to Syrian refugee, no, because according to Tommy Robinson's documentary, he was going to sue the school first. And then once they noticed, oh, Tommy Robinson talked about it, they just like, let's sue this Tommy Robinson.
Right.
Yeah, so this happens, and then people start commenting on it. It ends up on international news. And then Tommy Robinson commented on it, and then Child and his lawyer decided they are going to take Tommy Robinson to court for damage. That's where Tommy Robinson's case kind of gets involved. Tommy Robinson is trying to figure out witnesses to bring it to the court so that they can speak what they know about the child, all background. I think Tommy Robinson made a comment is like, oh, child is not as innocent as you might be thinking.
He clearly was not. He was Beelzebub. My goodness.
Yeah. So part of the documentary covers, like I said earlier, a lot of the documentation involved in this. So the school documented what was happening with the child, how many instances there were, how many times he had lied, what he had done to the teachers, what he had done to the other students. I think there was one instance where there was a knife involved.
Yep.
If I had my child enrolled in this school, I'd say, I don't feel like my child's safe with this kid around there. No. He should be out.
Well, the thing is, this child in the documentary, it shows he turns up the news and then news channels, and then he expresses, I don't feel safe. Sometimes I tell my daddy I don't want to go to school.
So he takes a victim stance there.
He was very good at it, though. He was good at it.
Could you remind me again what his daddy's name is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it seems kind of relevant.
yeah. His father called it jihad.
And
That
what
was
did
his
he,
name.
yeah, what did he say about his whole family being brought there? I mean, his whole family being brought there if they don't bring his whole family to the UK.
Yeah, he wished that he died in Syria instead of coming and seeing his child have a playground fight.
Now
Hard.
it's go ahead.
No, it's just hard. Poor child. It just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like running away from ISIS. Uh, they kind of entered the UK with special permission, all that, and then poor child gets just like watered down in playground. His father's name Jihad. His lawyer who were his lawyers at first were like these lawyers who becomes lawyers to the jihadis.
Hmm.
Poor guy, breaks your heart.
It makes me sad. But you know what? It's nothing that over $100,000 Band-Aid can't cure.
You
Well,
never.
especially when the GoFundMe is set up before the
Yeah.
stuff is publicized. That's
Yeah, that's like
Exactly.
something's not adding up here.
Can you unpack that little bit? I don't think I've got the clip of that. So what
Yeah.
is this GoFundMe thing?
So GoFundMe. So this is the fundraising they did that ended up being over 100,000. I forget exactly
Pounds.
the
Yeah.
pounds.
I'll put on the screen.
So, but before that, before everything was published and it actually started getting traction, this was already posted. They had already had the fundraiser up and running before this went big, which seems
So
oddly convenient.
are you telling me I need to get in touch with his lawyer and his media personality to ask them to do some GoFundMe for me?
I don't know, but his lawyer is who's
He's
listed on the GoFundMe, so
Yeah, the lawyer's the one who's getting the money from the GoFundMe.
But so what? I recently had a court case. One of the court case, I had to pay the lawyer almost £4,000, and then there is another court case. Kind of legal things is like over $20,000 or pounds. So what is this guy is like? Why do they need that much money? £150,000.
Don't you know?
No, I don't.
The anguish. It's expensive. Anguish is very expensive, man.
That's
Like,
true.
Hey,
especially having to experience it at the hands of a white supremacist. You'll never sleep the same again unless you can sleep on a pillow filled with over $150,000.
So you are saying like my mistake was I wasn't like Syrian refugee or Muslim.
Now
Otherwise,
you just don't play victim well enough.
I'll practice. That's
hey,
a lot of money.
gangs don't come cheap, man. You need to pay those thugs off.
So there's a lot of similarity, I think, there to with this to a previous review that we did on Matt Walsh's "Am I Racist?" Not so much the philosophy that here you got the victimhood mentality that's going on and everything like that, but there's also the white guilt side. With Piers Morgan and others just rushing, all these celebrities that were rushing to the defense of this poor Syrian child that was picked on school by this bully. Here you have these people defending him, and a lot of people are following in this, quick to say, oh yeah, that's terrible. He should get Piers Morgan himself said something along the lines of, he should get the worst possible punishment ever. This is
Severe.
awful. Yeah.
That's the
So,
word he
and
used.
people are
He's
cheering
vermin.
that on because I believe there is some guilt in this. You know, there was a history of the past with white people and stuff like this that are being taught in school, and the issues that we've had in the past. Now they're saying I can alleviate my guilt by siding with this refugee, not knowing all the details.
Yeah, so according to Pierce, the boy is vermin. He is the lowest scum of the earth for defending his sisters.
Now, could you put yourself in that kid's shoes? What he was going through, what they had to go through, the backlash that family had, the backlash that that kid had because of all this media and everything coming down on him, how terrible he was.
Yep.
What a villain he was in the eyes of the public.
Yes.
Yeah, and according to the teachers, he had a bright future. He was someone who was very bright, very quick, and someone said they thought he might go into becoming a lawyer himself or something along those lines, because he loved justice, he loved protecting people.
Yeah. And the thing that gets me is, number one, the responses, the adults, like Pierce Morgan. To me, it's like he's just a talking mouth with very little brain cell activity. And for you to react to a childhood schoolyard fight with such vitriol, it's disgusting. And you honestly, you're virtue signaling because you want to feel like you have some righteous indignation when all you are is just wealthy and you sit in your ivory tower. And instead of doing like real journalistic work to figure out like what actually happened, you just respond. And who was the other person that pretty much doxed a young man's name on Twitter? Like, why can't that family sue them?
Well, because family is British, white British. So if you are white, you wouldn't know this, Sister K. But I am sure Al and
You don't know. I could be
She
white.
would know. I wouldn't even know because time to time I wear like black things. But if you are white, you get no one's sympathy, you get no one's support. So
No, and especially you definitely see that there's no one to support you, and then the people that are put in place to support you, protect you, they are the ones who are doxing you. They are the ones who are trying to set you up into situations where you could possibly, to me, be killed. Like, even, I don't know how far we want to go into the storyline, when his family had to flee their home and be relocated by the police. I don't know if you want to go touch on that, Sister Hatun. Right.
yes, so what I'm gonna do is I was gonna show some clips. So after kind of all these things takes place on social media, Tommy Robinson gets sued, so he needs witnesses to turn up the court. He's going to the area, hunting down the people who can come to the court to testify. Okay. And then within first day, he figures out no one wants to come to the court. They don't want to talk to the camera, all that. Sorry, they don't want to come to the court. He decides he's gonna use secret camera to kind of figure out, get the information, gather evidence or something. So what we are going to kind of watch a bit of it as he goes around and then talks to the people regarding the case, regarding the event. Okay, so first one is head teacher. Let's go and play this. So if you want me to pause at any moment, please just verbalize it. I'll pause and then we talk about it. Okay.
Okay.
Because I just want to kind of end off the live stream. I just wanted to make sure I am still great person to work with.
The idea that people would maraud the streets looking for him was appalling. The fact that the video itself, although it showed the accumulation of things that had built up to that, did not deserve what happened to him or to anybody else in that situation. I'm afraid the media, I call it a perfect storm. I was getting emails from Pakistan, from Australia, from America, telling me to resign. So it went worldwide, and I'm afraid I came into teaching to help poor people, and they got rid of me. I've got a problem here. I lost my job over this, and as a result, the council has told me that I cannot speak to anybody ever about it. So unfortunately,
when you lost your job over the Jamal baby thing.
I was there when it happened. I was there when I dealt with all the situation. And then Oscar came, then Trevor wasn't there anymore. That's all I can say. I can't get a job. So that's where it's left me. And I can live with that, but Bailey were only 15. I can't live with that. That's different. He's a young man with a life that he should be. He's an articulate lad. He's got a lot about him. That's terrible. I can't. No. If I do, I could get myself into real trouble. No, okay. I could. Really serious trouble. Legal trouble, because part of the council's... You've signed an NDA or something? Correct. So they've said, you can't discuss it. And what was the NDA? So you keep the pension? You get a pension? Yeah. Fucking hell, bruv. I have to be very careful about what I say to it. I'm not allowed to talk about it. I really am not. So I can't discuss it. I can't discuss it with the media. I've always wanted to have my say against it, which I've never had. Never been allowed to have. Never been allowed to say goodbye to my staff. Was just told to leave. So I worked there nearly 20 years, and never got a card, never got a goodbye. This whole thing was just used. The whole thing was used, yes, to push them in. And hijacked, and by the right of the political, I'm quite a political person, by the right and the left, it was hijacked and spun all out of proportion, and now we've got problems. But essentially, what I've got, what you'll meet is a wall of silence. What a mess! It is a mess, but it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy for Bailey. I'm not sure Jamal will get anything out of this ever in his life, positive out of it either, necessarily. He might have got a few silver coins from Judas, but that's about it. You know, that's it. The thing is that the incident happened 6 weeks prior, or weeks prior. And then on the same day, at the same time, I've looked at the timings, the GoFundMe set up, the statement's released. Now you see you're putting a picture together. And then they built it up. I couldn't comment on that, but you've got a picture there. And built it up as a racist incident. Correct. Okay. He's Syrian, he's English. Correct. Job done.
Okay, so I'll pause here. So that was the head teacher who got fired from his job, who got emails from all the way from Pakistan. People are talking to him and asking him. And he was signed a paper that he cannot speak about it. Tommy Robinson secretly recorded the conversation and then put that in the documentary. And also I understand that he kind of brought it to attention at his court hearing when suing was taking place, not yesterday's one, but before that. Any comments, guys?
Well, a couple of things you can notice right off the bat is the head teacher there's one, he's scared. He's very cautious on what he's saying. You can see him take long pauses to get his words just right to make sure he's not violating anything, but he's definitely skirting it by what he's saying, if not actually violating it. I'm not 100% sure on what the NDA was, but to go to people and say, you can't talk about this event in your life because we don't want you to talk about it, it sounds a little funky to me.
Yeah, not only that it sounds funky, and I know this is probably gonna people I do feel bad for the headmaster for losing his job, for the situation. But I mean, number one, Pakistan, yeah, they're the beacon of how we should treat children. That's one. You should save your email addresses. But I guess what is bothering me throughout the whole theme of this, I understand you sign a non-disclosure agreement. I understand that you're fearful. I guess I don't care, because a young man's life is in ruins. Another father, a man and a husband, fathers, his life is in ruins, and the wicked get to walk away. And honestly, this reminds me of the scripture that states that the fearful will not inherit the kingdom of God, or will not enter into the kingdom of God.
Okay, just a second. Someone is typing. Who is that someone?
Probably me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll
mute myself.
I was going to say, no need to name, but just watch out that we can hear your typing. Sorry about that. Go on, Sister Kay.
No, I was just saying that, the scripture it reminds me of the scripture that the fearful will not enter into the kingdom of heaven, because you pretty much are a co-conspirator with wickedness because you're fearful. You fear man greater than you fear God instead of doing what's right. Honestly, and we can all say what we would and could do, but honestly, you're an older gentleman. You've lived your life for the most part, and I know you have family relying on you, but a young man's life has been totally ruined. And you have the key to open up Pandora's box to expose this young man as just a bunch of cowards. That's just that was the whole theme to me throughout the movie.
Well,
There's that, and then there are a lot of other victims of the Syrian boy who get to sit back and watch their abuser go on and get promoted, become this national, almost to the point of being a national or even international hero, this brave young man who beat the crap out of little girls and little boys. Anyone younger than him would disrespect anyone at any given time. You sit back and you watch that become popular. You watch him get an easy life based upon that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, someone once said, I'm not sure who this is really attributed to, but the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men, or good women, do nothing.
yep. Agreed. I've been in a place where I did nothing, and you get to see the consequences of this. In this occasion, head teacher is being fired from his job, given good money for his retirement, and he can't get any job anymore. And then he says, oh, I'm concerned for the white British child. But deep down, you kind of think if he concerned, he wouldn't sign the disclosure.
Sorry, one more thing. He does refer to the Syrian boy as having his silvers like Judas, but he did the same thing. He took the money and signed the NDA.
Yeah.
So, at least at some point, he knows what has been done is wrong, even if he doesn't recognize that he participated in it and took those silvers along with him.
Sad, isn't it? Let me continue. So that was the head teacher. So we are watching the clips from the documentary of Silence that was put together by Tommy Robinson. And then just trying to hear the kind of testimonies or the backgrounds as people are sharing the information. So,
was there a racism problem in the school? And
well, no, I don't think there was.
What about other Syrian refugees? Like, do you think what happened to Jamal in the school was because he was a Syrian refugee?
No, not all. I told you before that would have happened if the child was white, big, blue, whatever colour.
They're all scared.
Yeah. A lot of careers, aren't there? I work for probation service now.
You do now?
Yeah. So I don't know where I stand with it. I could lose my job.
What about if... No, and I wouldn't...
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get it, bro.
I work for probation service now. You see, if I didn't work for...
You see, if you were someone...
If I didn't work for the fucking public sector no more, I said, God, they can go fuck themselves, they can't. You know what I mean?
So they seem to be pretty keen on these NDAs.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Deputy Council. But I can't disclose that with you.
Like what?
Loads. I'm saying I can't disclose it because I signed it.
That incident...
I'll pause that for a second. So this is another employer from the school that he's expressing that there are other Syrian refugees at school. This has nothing to do with because he's Syrian refugee or he's immigrant, or it has nothing to do with race at all. And then he's talking about that he's been signed this, I'm not going to talk about paper, by council. A council gave him money to shut up, and he shut up. Any thoughts?
So the question that I have, this is for everybody. what is our price? I mean, if someone were to threaten my kids, that might be my price, but I don't know. I'm not sure how far, until it actually happens, how far it'd really go, because in these cases, these people are saying, well, I could lose my job. I would lose my job. I lose my house. All these things I would lose. How far would we go to hold on to our principles? I think it's a challenge for all of us. And we're living in a day and age where when we say goodbye to people, sometimes we say, hey, take care. I think we need to start saying, take courage instead, because we're living in a time where courage is necessary.
Amen.
I think
Amen,
for me, in fact, I mentioned this to Elle as we were watching this. At one point, I just paused the show and said, I would have done the same thing that Tommy did. I would nuked it. I would have pressed the button. It gets to a point where it's no, you cannot allow this corruption to happen, because if you allow it to go on where good people are silenced, good people are put away, they don't have a legal procedure to go down, and they just keep seeing the evil be able to take the quick and easy way out and become victorious all the time, that's going to degrade a culture. You're going to get riots. This is not good for a society, and it's not something I'd want to have my kids live in. So even if it ends up costing a lot, and it cost him everything, there's a certain point that says, no, for my morals, I have to do this.
Like, one of the reasons Tommy Robinson said that he published the video is because all that all these testimonies kind of end up in the court. Individuals came to the court and then they talked to the judge, they answered the questions, but at the end it's been expressed that no, they are not trustworthy because this poor Syrian refugee is more trustworthy. So he kind of, his conscience was not clear that like this was wrong. The judge decision, that judgment, yes, he made the judgment, but his judgment is wrong. And especially it becomes wrong when he tells you, okay, you cannot talk about it. Like, you kind of worry, okay, what they are trying to hide. So therefore he steps in and then publishes the video. So he shows that courage, but that courage meant for him breaking the law.
But what do you do when the law is unjust in the land? What do you do when it's covering up wickedness?
Yeah,
You have to go against the law. You have to be bystander, be a lawbreaker. To go off of what Brother Eric was saying, what is our price? What are we willing to endure, and what are we willing to sell out for, so to speak? No, I would not sell a non-disclosure agreement. And honestly, yes, if you threatened my little brother and I was that age, I'm probably gonna pummel you. Yep. And honestly, I better not come home and my little brother be harmed and I did nothing to protect him, because guess what? I have to answer now to mom and dad. And that's just the way it was for us growing up. I understand eventually spiritually bringing it over into a spiritual realm. You can't sit by when wrong is being done. And I know Tommy is not a believer, but you even anybody would see something wrong and have a gut response to want to right the wrong. And the system in the UK is falling apart, that is just so willing to cover up wickedness.
So it's such a shame, like, he's not a believer.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't see Jesus as Messiah. He doesn't believe Jesus is the Son of God who offers him eternal life. Yet he went out all his way and then exposed the grooming gangs while hundreds of people turned blind eye. He went all the way to expose what do we call this? Expose those dishonesty, while head teachers, school staff, media, everyone choose to turn blind eye. yet he's not a believer. So strange how God uses people outside of his flock to expose the evil.
So we need to
Amen.
pray for him in more than one way.
Yeah.
Amen. Pray for his protection, his salvation. Amen.
Okay, let's get our attention back to the silent documentary. I'm intentionally I'm intentionally kind of changing the screen when I play the movie. You never know. Some people just might want to buy me with 139,886 pounds. So
That's a very oddly specific number there.
that
Yeah.
was the number like
You just out of your head, huh?
which was given in his GoFundMe account.
I thought they eventually said it was like 160 eventually.
Yeah, but that was not the number on the screen because I saw it. If I see something, it can stuck in my mind. So anyway, let's get on with business.
It was talked about by Theresa May at a G20 summit. Somebody asked her a question about it. We were then Ofsteded by 5 of the top inspectors in the country. Then only send 1 registered inspector. We had the head of safeguarding. I had Amanda Spielman, the head of Ofsted, speaking to me about it. If you want my honest opinion, they said, get up there, I don't know who they is, get up there and shut that school. Get up there and get rid of this.
Get rid of the problem. Over the pain.
Correct.
Over Jamal.
Correct. Get up there and get rid of it.
But why do you think that is? Like, do you think, because I looked at Jamal, because he came here 2 years ago, I've got so many negative things said about him now by so many people. Well, I mean, so many. Well, I mean, I've got children at school.
Yeah. We had 9 Syrian children, 9 families.
Yep.
We had an issue.
Well, my view is, I'll pause there again. So it all got the school's attention that caused him to get fired from his work, all that. Why? Because media was so concerned about the Syrian refugees, so they went to G20 summit and then they asked question to our previous prime minister, who was prime minister at that time. So they sent inspectors to the school, and that's how it kind of ended up.
Wow, we have nothing better in the West to do than to answer questions from the Middle East, who have or Middle Eastern Arab countries who have like the worst human rights violations about a school boy yard scuffle. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to ask them about their education plan for young women and how many young women are going through their educational society and how they feel.
Apostates' lives matter.
Yeah, so it's interesting that this became an international thing. In the G20 summit, they brought this up.
But because he's got like jihadi lawyer, there is something like Muslims are very good at, is with the like making noise on social media and getting attention. They are so good at like being professional victim and circulating that, like somehow just get attention.
Well, and there's this almost like you were talking about earlier, this being a global movement, not just what's happening in the UK, but in all of Western society. So is there an invisible hand behind it, or is it just a groupthink within the upper echelon that's moving us all in this direction?
Concerning.
I just think that, again, it's almost if they're outraged about something, they're all going to be outraged about it. Like I gave the example before on the last live stream. There were some sneakers. They were simple sneakers. And then somebody put it online and said, oh, this is, sorry about the noise in the background. Somebody said that it was the writing, the Arabic writing for Allah. And oh my gosh, people are writing into the company saying, you guys got to get rid of these sneakers, get rid of these. Somebody just made it up completely, but it wasn't. But still, groupthink, and they all like show outrage very well.
There's that, and then there's I remember a few months ago, I think it was in Pakistan. There was a woman there that had Arabic writing on a dress that she had, specifically for Ramadan, and it was nothing that was in the Quran or anything, but they assumed that because it's Arabic, it must be from the Quran. They got a gang there, and it was actually a Christian store owner who saved her life from being stoned to death right there in the streets. So yeah, again, the whole point of them being the arbiters of what is, good and what is socially acceptable seems like a very good standard to go on.
I just put a comment on the screen. I don't know if this is like true or not, but so Tommy Robinson, parent, he was gonna be alone by himself. Now, daughter of the Most High says he's given option to move to different area in prison. I wonder why would someone give him that option? They put him in a jail, in a prison where other jihadis are. Amjam Chowdhury is in that prison. Like, that prison runs by jihadis. They placed him in that prison. That's like already very concerning. And for them to kind of say, okay, I'm giving you option. Do you want to be over there with these lovely jihadis? Probably they're expecting, he will sit down and then speak with Amjam Chowdhury, and then Amjam Chowdhury will convert him to Islam. He will get out of the prison and transform and change. He is not safe in that prison. And people who put him in that prison knew that he was not safe. He's not safe. He's not safe. That's how it is.
So go ahead.
So basically, in solitary confinement, obviously, you're going to be basically nothing. You'll be in a room by yourself, but you would be quote unquote safe. However,
I'm not sure if he will be safe, because still people know he's in that jail. People know he's in that prison, and he is served food. And in prisons, inmates are the one who cooks. So I wouldn't trust. Like, I've been in a restaurant where Muslims spit on my food. So in jail, I don't know, like, if I would trust Muslim cooks, especially while that much hate has been intentionally circulated all around about Tommy Robinson. Not sure, but yeah, so that's he's by himself, and apparently, according to daughter of Most High, given option to move to the different.
So basically, you can go to general population and be killed.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's getting like last news, because, as I said, I didn't have internet, so I'm not up to date with the news. But
she did mention about checking out another channel that had some news.
Yeah,
that just came out with that information. Normally, she's pretty
basically
reliable.
General population, for those that aren't familiar, or you can go to the sex offender wing, which we all know, Sir 65 and 4. Let's guess who's going to be in there. Their way to jail.
Could this be the Pakistanis that he reported on earlier?
Grooming guns. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised with that, but it is such a shame that people who are in the authority knew that prison is not safe for him, yet they put him there. Anyway, disturbing.
Well, I just have one thing to say. Epstein didn't kill himself, and we'll move on from there. This also happened, and I'm not sure if you're going to get. Do you want to wait till we talk about the relocation of the family? Because it's related to this subject right here.
You go on, like, there is nothing to repeat things twice, third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time. It's all fine. I don't know if it is in my clips, so you just go ahead.
Okay. So the family that of the boy that had the bottle of water and poured it on the Syrian students, that family had to move because of threats and everything. And the government said, don't worry, witness protected, whatever. We got this covered. We got the perfect spot for you. So they had a 1-star hotel set up within a stone's throw away from the mosque that was it the
Three
imam that
mosques. Yeah.
three mosques.
Three
Mosques.
mosques.
Yeah.
Three.
Yeah, this is a perfect place for this family to go. They will be protected. So if this is the level of protection that we're seeing for a child in his family, we can imagine what's going to happen.
Also, that hotel also was used as place for prostitution.
Moreover, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You go on, sister?
No, I apologize. I was saying the mosque were the imam that came to the school and surrounded the school. Those were his mosque.
Yeah, so police is very good at relocating people in a place where police thinks, oh, they will be very safe. The very hand of very people who are threatening to murder him and his family. So
Yeah, one more thing. The hotel itself was also owned by a Muslim
yeah.
family. So, yeah, it's completely and utterly safe.
Who set this up?
Serving you. It looks, if I were to look at this, it looks like they're being served up on a silver platter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think basically they were trying to appease the Muslim community by handing them off to, and you hear it like, it's almost like being in witness protection from the mob and then placing you, in a like, I don't say, but like a mafia owned area.
Right.
And this, I'm surprised at how wicked they are. Go ahead.
Like, I guess because everyone is aware of their situation, and especially they've been put in that place. Not very wise. I would say, sadly, I think it is intentional, but I don't know the hearts of councils and police. I am more inclined to think it is intentional. Anyway, sad.
But you won't get much of an answer out of Rob because he worked there and he was bound by various confidentiality.
Okay, I don't know why my computer, the video just stopped.
Dave, can you? What's your name?
Well, if you work it out, it must be a good one, mustn't it?
Oh, yeah. So, did you work there as well?
No, I was the chair of governors there, but so it's not.
What my issue is?
You're not going to get anywhere. Really.
No, yeah.
And Rob wouldn't talk to you either, so
they're trying to.
It's pointless me even giving you.
I told the truth.
Your contact details.
Okay.
Wouldn't work for them.
I told the truth about what happened that day.
I am not even arguing.
His life was destroyed.
Well, that's not fair either, is it?
As a racist bully, he weren't.
And he wasn't.
I know.
You and I both know that.
I know.
But the truth is just.
How much money?
So that was again another testimony from a school worker who kind of expresses, well, I can't talk to you. So it's not much different than the grooming gangs. People are very much aware of the wrongdoing which we expressed in the past, but they choose to, or they are gently forced to stay silent about it. Any comments on that?
Has anybody read 1984 by George Orwell? I think it was supposed to be a warning, not a manual for creating new governments.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just thinking that one too.
This whole situation also reminds me of Proverbs 31, 8-9. Shall speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and needy. And it's pretty sad when people are not only not speaking up, but specifically trying to muffle others' voices as well.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the one who is not being judged fairly, who is, yeah, needing it most is the one who's being punished the most.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm just shocked. And again, I'm still shocked because now Tommy has gone into prison. Nobody wants to stand up and say, this is wrong. I was there and this is what happened. And you guys are trying to quiet this up. And this is honestly, to me, these people are more wicked too.
Sister, they don't even want to talk about the British child. They are not going to talk about man who went to prison.
Now, from what I understand, though, haven't there been a number of protests? They got a little maybe out of hand for Tommy recently.
No, we've got like some. There were some riots as well as there are some marching stuff. But they were not like speaking up for Tommy. They were just like, okay, there's a problem in Britain stuff. So
this is quite evident.
Like if someone doesn't even talk about a child, like these teachers are very much aware that that child's future is being destroyed. Yet they don't talk. They don't want to still come forward. What do you expect? They're not going to talk about. They're not going to speak for when man goes to the prison.
Yeah, honestly, and this is just my ire towards these people. These people are worse than prostitutes because at least prostitutes have a standard of some sort. These people they got their money and they just keep sinking lower and lower and lower. And I hope, honestly, it's just, yes, I hope they get saved. That's my prayer. But just to not have peace until they tell the truth. This is terrible. This is a miscarriage of justice. And honestly, this is, I think you said this in one of the streams where they came for, the socialists, they came for whoever. And then when they came to me, there was nobody else to speak up for me. And that's what is happening. And we think, well, because they gave me money and I'm okay to retire and be comfortable, or I got this nice cushy job. No, it's going to come to you eventually, and there'll be no one to speak up for you.
So at the beginning of this documentary, Tommy is saying he had this before. He had an opportunity to speak up before, and he didn't. And he is going to now. And that's why I believe that he came up with this or published this documentary. Did you guys catch that at the beginning?
Yeah, so he's making a point when judge told him to not share anything. That was over 2 years ago. He should have shared it.
Right. And so I think he knew this is coming down the pike. He knew if he did this, that they may come after him. So this really wasn't a surprise to him too much.
Yeah, judge told him, like, if you do that, he checked it out, that's the crime for it. So he knew that. And then he took that risk, knowing that. Even like I was following the things were being tweeted from the court. People were reporting as like, oh, judge is not even listening. He's just reading what is being pre-prepared. So they knew this is happening. They just like already wrote everything. They're gonna read it out.
That would be classified as a corrupt judge.
Well, actually, the judge who sentenced Tommy Robinson used to do government's defense against other things. So he was like working for MI5, all that. Like he did some cases for MI5. Very concerning things out there. But anyway, welcome to England. Welcome to England. Okay, let's continue.
The figure, because if I see the figure, it goes out.
Because, mate, 18. He must have got 6 figures. How much money have they spent on this lie?
We put in a freedom of information request to Kirklees Council to find out exactly how much they had spent of taxpayers' money to get the silence of their staff. They didn't answer the first request. They avoided the second. Only when we sent them legal letters, because they have to, by law, answer these questions, did we get our answer. They had spent over £250,000, nearly £275,000 of taxpayers' money was spent making people remain silent? Well, they've spent money silencing everybody.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of money for individuals who's got the truth in their hand.
Yeah, it's a pretty penny.
$250,000 though. I mean, $250,000. That's not a lot for your soul.
Well, it was enough. It was enough for someone to choose to be silent. And plus, of course, it has, when people are kind of forced to retired, it gets the retirement money, at all that. This is just for them to not talk about the case. And this is taxpayers' money, by the way. So my money went to come alongside of lies. Like my money is being used for so that people can stay silent and children can suffer and individuals end up being labeled as liars.
Great to know the priorities of the government and how they want to spend everybody else's money.
And teachers who are supposed to be teaching and influencing children to have a bright future. I hope that money's, suits you well.
Yeah, I think if we're ever faced with a decision like this, any one of us, I don't know if we ever will, but I think on some level we all have this. If we're ever tempted by the money, think of the long game. How much good did those 30 pieces of silver do Judas? He didn't have a whole lot of time to spend it on. And even if you look at someone who's paid off to be silent and to lose their soul for that, how far is that money going to go?
Not when you don't have a peace of mind. You're not going to enjoy it.
Well, even in Judas's situation, it was very clear that he wanted to even give the money back. He wanted to undo everything. He wanted to, but he couldn't. It was done. Mm-hmm. There was no option to undo. You can't put the genie back in the box, sort of situation.
Yeah. So, I mean, these people are, I just pray for that young man. Also keep that young man in your prayers, him and his family. And even the Syrian child, he needs Jesus. He lost. He's just if that's how you are coming across and interacting with people, it's got to be far worse. And I'm not trying to make him into a victim at all, but what is your father teaching you? What is your family teaching you?
His father reveals, his father's name reveals certain things about him.
Yes, Jihad. No, that's the struggle to not eat that extra slice of baklava, sister. That's what jihad is.
Making people remain silent. Well, they've spent money silencing everybody.
Yeah, he was in the same year.
Okay, so so far what we watched is staff of the school is talking about how they cannot talk about it. They are being paid off, all that. And now I think this part is where Tommy Robinson is kind of talking with the trying to figure out what kind of child was he. I think that was the case. I can't remember. Let's see.
What was Jamal's attitude like at school?
He wasn't very nice. He called female teachers bitches. He just didn't really have respect for the female students, to be honest. Yeah, basically, we were in a PE lesson and we were playing hockey with a teacher called Mr. Cattell, and I had taken the hockey puck off of Jamal because I was on the other team and sent it to the other side of the room where my teammates were. And I then turned around and just felt a really sharp pain in my back, and he'd swung the hockey stick over his head and hit me in the spine with it.
Do you think there's any way that could have been an accident?
No. It knocked me to my knees.
It knocked you to your knees.
How long had Jamal been at school when this happened?
About 2 weeks. I've had lasting injuries from it. It's caused me to have severe pain in the top of my back, and I'm on medication for the pain.
Still now?
Yeah.
Did Jamal get in trouble for this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Needs to be told. First of all,
So this poor innocent Syrian refugee child hit the girl on the back that she's still in painkiller.
And that might be a life struggle for her from now on, is this constant pain. I don't know how severe the injuries are, but if you're already talking about a decent period of time and it has not healed up, seriously, even the strike like that can cause even spinal column problems.
And also, some of you might have picked up that he's using this very lovely language for female teachers as well as for female students. So that's Islam's high view of woman is being expressed very much.
I was about to say, when you come from a religion that teaches that women are just animals and they were just given human form so they don't scare man whenever he decides to, lay with her. Yeah, this is kind of it. Islam teaches they're half-wits, that they're not capable, and there are many, many references that are referring to them being equal to various animals.
Well, those are believing women, brother.
Oh yeah,
those are believing women. We haven't gotten to the level by which unbelieving women are called in Islam.
Yeah.
That would be the worst of all creatures. You go to, was it 98:6, Quran 98:6, and it says that Christians and Jews, polytheists, are the worst of creatures. Okay.
Yeah, and uncovered women are seen as whore. They are there to be abused, all that. But the language is like, what do you expect if your father's name is Jihad? So, and if your prophet's name Muhammad, what do you expect? John, any comments? I was simply waiting for you to drink that coffee, so that I can just humiliate you publicly.
No, I think you guys have covered it pretty well. I saw one. I'm following some of the comments here. Some of the guys in there are just goofy, but some of the comments are pretty good. That this judgment that was just made against Tommy Robinson emboldens the Muslim community to say that, hey, we're protected by this government. We can then take it a step further.
Yep.
It also enrages the general population to say that there is a two-tier system of justice. And if you feel like you cannot get justice through the legal system like you should, and it boils and boils and boils over, eventually you're going to say, I'm going to find other means to do this. Just like the fight in the schoolyard, it could have been that this kid, this Syrian child, was getting away with doing all these things that the white British child said, enough, and put his hand to it. He could have done a lot worse to that kid. It just like pushed him down, put the water on him, and then as far as I know, he was let go, and that was it. Now, he broke his arm. It says in the video, the Syrian boy broke his arm, and earlier it was broken by another kid. So, that poor child is just being so picked on. No, he was picking on, from what I understand, another smaller child, and one of the other kids just pushed him out of the way. He fell down, hit the curb, and broke his arm.
Yeah.
So that was another, I would say, self-inflicted wound that from a bullying incident by himself that was done.
Very peaceful child. Very peaceful child. John, you can go back to your coffee.
Do you remember any incidents specifically with Jamal with dogs?
Well, Do that one where he hit that girl with hockey stick, wasn't it?
Yeah, Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah.
I think of the name, mate.
Yeah, let's go.
Lovely little girl, that.
Yeah.
It was just rude to him, obnoxious, bloody nastily. No respect for ladies, no respect for girls.
Yeah.
Expected everybody to bow down to him.
Because I was like, he was like,
just wanted to kind of pick up something, in case kind of we forget to mention. So far what we have is people are saying, different people are saying the same things. So you would expect by this stage, I'm not judge, but by this stage, if I am the judge, I am simply just thinking, I can trust these testimonies because different people in different stage being questioned about the same thing and the coming information is the same. So difficult to kind of debunk its truthfulness as you've got like more people who are testifying the same thing. But we will see what judge is going to decide on this.
the side of me, so he like tried like pushing me and like, so I quickly moved out because obviously I knew what he was like, he would have actually hit me and stuff.
Yeah.
So I moved, and then that's when he like moved his arms if he was going to try to slap my face like that.
Okay. And he tried, but he did. But on that day, he spat at you multiple times. Where'd the spit go?
Like literally all on my uniform outside and all down the school bag. Because when I went home, I told mum and mum were disgusted in it. But the school said that because it was outside of school times, they can't do much about it.
Okay.
He's a nasty little piece of shit.
Was he?
Yeah. And I told you to listen to that when she rung me.
Okay.
Horrible boy.
Was he?
Yeah. And it's all that.
What was he like at school then?
Nasty.
To
everybody and anybody. He had no respect for women at all. None. And even staff.
No respect for him?
No. I told you to all this on phone.
Okay.
Jamal grabbed him by his tie, which just threw him against the wall, cracked his head open against back at wall, and just kept throwing him against the wall. This kid was out unconscious already. That's just malicious. That's just intent to kill.
Were they?
They had a young lad and a girl, and they were horrendous. The kids, they were just horrific. The couple of kids that they had, they used to bully the kids.
What, Jamal?
Yeah.
See, what was Jamal like though? The kid.
So just let me pause here for a second. So we've got students as well as school staff is expressing he's not innocent guy. Not very good. Anyone wants to kind of make any comment at this stage?
I remember a certain time in I know in American history, and I'm pretty sure British as well, that these sort of things sort of resolve themselves. For example, the older kids would take the problem child out for a walk, and then the problem child and the older kids would come back, and it would seem that the problem child had fallen down pretty harshly, and then that would be the end of it. Doesn't seem to be that way anymore. At least, you know what, it sounded like, to tell you truthfully, this kid needed to have a stern hand. This kid needs someone to be able to set him right. But
you mean a father who simply means what is his name means?
No, a good father.
I
What are you referring to?
I don't think you're going to get this here because you have a clash of cultures. Mm-hmm. You have one culture that values, British culture that should, or at least in the past, did value honesty, integrity, defending the poor and the weak and so forth. That would uphold that. And you don't have to go too far back in time to see that. And then you have another culture that would, like you say, women are second class, they're inferior, they're on the level of animals, the infidels are the worst of all creatures, and so on and so forth. And we need to jihad is not just being good and struggling personally. It has historically meant fighting and taking over. So clash of cultures here. The father is not going to tell the child, hey, don't pick on younger kids. He's going to hear something totally different. He's probably got a lot of praise for this.
He probably did. And not only that, since the GoFundMe was created, they sat back and pontificated on how they can gain from this situation, from his wickedness. And my not even opinion, as you look over long before this came to a head of him having put hands on the Syrian, I'm not going, well, he's a jihadi. The school failed to protect all the students from him. The school failed to, most schools, if you attack somebody with a sharp object, especially causing long-term damage, like a back injury, you're not suspended for a couple of days and you get to come back. You're expelled. You have to go to another school. You can no longer come here. He's attacked multiple children, especially underage children. And so I'm looking at the school, like, what did you do? What have you done? This kid should have been expelled. There would have never been an incident leading up to this with the young kid, Riley. But no, you failed to protect them. And now we have the situation where you continue to further fail to protect the children that you were supposed to be protecting. Kitty terrorist, man.
Maybe he's going to change his name to his father's name.
Well, he's living it out, his father's name out.
See, what was Jamal like though?
A dickhead.
Was he?
He came to isolation a few times. He wasn't perfect child.
No. He was portrayed.
Well, you know what job I did, don't you?
He was in isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isolation lots of times.
Was he?
Yeah.
What was he like though?
Troublesome child.
Yeah.
He used to make up fucking stories.
He used to make up stories.
Yeah. At one stage, I think he said something to do with his sister. Somebody said something to his sister, and I was in isolation. I just got come out, and he was waiting outside isolation and wanting to beat the girl up or something. I can't remember.
He wanted to beat the girl up.
Yeah, that said something to his sister. Just one second.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem.
No, he used to lie a lot.
But this whole thing was built off what he said, and if he lied a lot, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
What's that?
He was quite a violent person.
He was a violent person?
Yeah. The year below, he was a year ago.
Yep.
You say every time I walk past him, I grab him in.
Every time you walk past him? What happened with you and him? What was that over? Sheffield? Every day? Or when you saw him? Or just attack him? Is he like that with lots of kids? Just certain kids? So he fought he could? No. Well, he just randomly attacked you? Yeah. What about your mum said something about he put something in between his hands?
Oh yeah, it was a compass. I remembered it yesterday, just as you went. It was a compass. It got a compass, and he was going around like, when he got to me, he went proper hard into me, made me bleed and everything. And I think it was Miss Ennis.
I'm gonna pause here for a second because let me just change the screen. I want us to kind of just look back to this report. This lovely graph, so that we see how good child is. Very innocent student. This is his behavior. It's like all the red flags. All of it red flags.
Like when he got to me, he went proper hard into me, made me bleed and everything. And I think it was Miss Ennis that proper gave him a top telling off.
Okay.
So he stopped a child. A Syrian refugee stopped a child.
This is one of the biggest problems with due to him just not integrating into the society. He's bringing his culture in without integrating or being educated in what the actual culture is around him. But all the teachers are assuming that he's just a pity. Oh, we got to make sure he's taken care of. We got to make sure we're not racist against him. We've got to wash our hands of it.
I don't think it's. I think he's well integrated into the society. I think he's probably better integrated into the society than we actually think. That is why he was able to pull this off. The white guilt. He knew he could play on the white guilt. He knew he could do things time and time again in secret and play. Like that's why he tried to play, oh, they threatened my sister and all these other things, but they didn't occur, or he's making them up. So he knows he's easily manipulating full-blown adults. And like he said, she gave him a good talking to. A what? I'm sorry. He was in the right school to do this, because he would not have survived in any school that I went to doing that type of stuff.
So he made up a story of his sister being talked down to.
Yeah.
And because of someone bad-mouthing his sister, he was going to wait and beat the crap out of the individual who did it. Is that correct? Is that what I was getting?
Yeah. That's the lie that he told, yeah.
What did he do to the guy who poured water on him?
He threatened to.
Even
He
worse.
threatened the guy's sisters.
He raped his sister.
Yeah.
So he's also a hypocrite.
Well, no.
He's just Muslim.
They're not Muslims, so
it's just Muslim.
It's different. Muslims can do that.
You stop someone and then all you get is like being talked of it, and then just move on.
You know, you said, so say like that incident there, you said some girl said something to Jamal's sister, and he waited outside to beat her up.
Yeah, waiting outside isolation to beat the girl up.
And about the lies.
Yeah, I'll say about Jamal, he used to tell fibs. There was several times he got investigated, and it just fucking turned out to be fucking lies.
The fact he always lied is a big point. The fact that you know that the police, the school investigated incidents where he said things happened, and they turned out to be made up.
Yeah, it was fibs. They couldn't have happened. It could have happened because I think one. The child was even in school got accused. I can remember.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm sure he accused us another guy called Jaden. I can't remember his last name.
Called what?
Jaden.
Jaden.
He accused Jaden of something. And when me and Miss Ennis investigated, it was fucking bollocks.
No, I'll just pause there. So, wanted to point out. So, in the documentary, what we are seeing is not only testimony of school staff, as well as testimony of students, but also there are like written documents from the school about the Syrian refugees' behavior, and it doesn't look good at all.
Yeah, and honestly, this is I hate to use the word because it has such a negative connotation, but this is a conspiracy of the highest heights. To see the paperwork, the actual written paperwork, where teachers said he lied, or they found his claim to be untrue, and no one is saying, okay, maybe this guy is a liar. And the fact that, again, I keep going, follow the money, that the GoFundMe was put up before, they literally use this as an opportunity to milk the system. Like I said, this kid is very acclimated into the westernized system, because, I mean, if you hurt my feelings, somebody's got to pay.
Well, like, as you are kind of just watching this, you've got like written evidence on child's character. You've got testimonies of individuals who knows the child, and then you kind of still make a judgment that child is trustworthy. This doesn't add up. Like, how can you make such a judgment? As I said, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just like asking the questions on my behalf as well as on the behalf of a friend. But concerning judgment.
So let me jump in real quick and say that this is not cherry-picked testimony, cut up and edited. If you watch the documentary, it's fluid. It's long conversations he's having with these people.
Yeah.
And these are the people that were there. No other testimony was given by the government to say otherwise.
Yeah.
Other than shut up, sign this NDA, we'll pay you to be quiet. And if you don't, you're going to be in prison just like Tommy is. And we'll see what happens to you in there. So, no, this is not just what he's doing is going out there and digging up information about it. And this is not just onesie-twosie. This is a whole group of people that are saying this.
Yeah, like people who had different positions. As well as remember, like he's recording this secretly. It's not like people are not speaking to the camera stuff as well. Like that's kind of his account as well. But anyway, at the end, judge is gonna simply ignore all these testimonies. I find it's concerning. Your brother in Christ, were you gonna say something?
Nope, I don't have anything to add to that. I think it's pretty apparent.
Okay. Well, let's see. Judge sees that.
Very relatable, really.
No.
You know, about what he was going to do to sisters and what have you.
To Bailey?
To Bailey and to others.
Oh, and to others.
But not a very nice boy.
When you say, what was he going to do to the sisters?
Well, he told Bailey he was going to rape them.
Told Bailey he was going to rape a sister? Oh, right. And I've tried to argue that it was in the public's interest for him to know the truth about Jamal.
No,
and they said,
was just retaliating.
Yeah.
You know, which most people do with somebody threatening their sisters.
Yeah. But Jamal seems like every kid I spoke to that he attacked was younger.
Yeah. Bullet.
Jamal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding now.
Yeah. That's what I remember. He said he was going to stab him or something with science or something.
Yeah.
If I remember. He said, yeah, so he goes, come on then. What are you saying now?
Because that thing of him getting caught with a knife in school, it's like, what? Caught with a knife and a screwdriver?
Yeah.
Bailey gets his belt for pouring a bottle of water.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Surely he gets...
You got a statement on that?
No, because there's things missing. But I've got his dad mentioning it in the minutes of a meeting. His dad mentions it in the meeting with the school. His dad mentions about them catching him with a knife and a screwdriver. His dad brought it up. I've got it in black and white.
Yeah, you got a good case there.
I've got it. Yeah, he got caught with a knife. They can't deny it. A mother went online and said her daughter.
Well, in England now we are learning that children go to school with knife.
Yeah, that's illegal over here too. So you're not supposed to do it. Definitely a concealed weapon is what it'd be classified as.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I know we have other issues, people bringing other weapons to school over here, but that is not on the list of items that you should send your kid to school with. Books, pencils, knives. No, that's not on the list. I've seen them.
The UK government is willing to put a 15-year-old child in prison simply posting things on Twitter. But UK police is not willing to investigate a child who turns up to school with knife. And also a child who already stops a child. I find it's concerning, but welcome to England. This is how it is now, seems.
Been attacked by Jamal. I contacted that mother. She sent me images of her daughter. She said her little daughter was beaten by 3 Muslim girls and that Jamal jumped in and bit her daughter on the head. She sent me the images of the bite marks on her daughter's head. I said, can I speak to you? Can I interview you? I rang the mother, but the child was too scared to talk to me. Oh, no, everyone's scared.
I don't care if you guys in, Tommy Robinson's there.
Tell her not to worry, don't worry.
He said don't worry.
Yeah. So when you put online about Jamal, what happened? Like, what did you what happened? What was the response to that?
What do you mean?
I mean, did you receive any?
Did I receive threats? Yeah, I did.
What sort of threats?
Rape, all sorts, Tommy, all sorts.
And I'm just, because what I'm trying to understand is that and is that because what I've looked at, and then because Jamal's solicitors are using a statement that you made saying that Jamal had nothing to do with it, but was that, what I'm asking, was that in response to the threats you received? Yeah. It was, okay.
Liar. Straight. He's just a liar. Jamal telling fibs all the time. There's several times investigated, fucking found out that he was talking fucking shit.
I don't think the whole. But then I read Jamal reading what was blatantly a prepared statement on the news.
I don't feel safe at school. Sometimes I say to my dad, I don't want to go to school.
Oh yeah, this poor child. See, he beats a female student on head. Her family receives like threats, all those kind of things, and he doesn't feel safe to go to school. Sometimes he says to his dad, I don't want to go to school anymore.
Oh yeah, I feel so fearful for
Yeah.
school when he goes to school.
It sounds like the other kids are fearful of him from what their testimony is. This isn't just something written in some PDF somewhere. This is actual footage of these children saying this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he those children didn't end up on ITV News or anything. And of course, just wanted to make sure everyone is aware, when you turn up those kind of exclusive interviews, they usually pay you. So, and he's got like these jihadi lawyers. God knows how much they paid him to say, oh, I feel unsafe.
Statement on the news. I don't feel safe at school. Sometimes I say to my dad, I don't want to go to school anymore. I was just crying and I didn't do nothing because I respect the school rules.
Yeah, he used to break rules all the time. Yeah, he used to lie. He used to lie a lot. He lied several times. He lied several times. I caught him several times lying.
Very respectful child. He just respects the.
He respects the school rules.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to say, oh, and that day I was on my period and I was cramping and I was just so confused.
Not very good. Not very good.
It really was.
Cool, because that's what I spoke to loads of people, said no, Bailey wasn't the bully.
Okay, so that part was, so after we kind of heard from the school staff how they were being paid to be silent, not talk about it, all that. And then we heard from students and from other teachers about the character of Syrian refugee. And school records as well as the testimony of those individuals kind of makes me to think that he wasn't this lovely, innocent child. And now we are going to hear what do people say about the white British guy who poured water on the mouth of this Syrian refugee. So this racist child who should be kind of have severe retribution. Before I move to those testimonies, anyone wants to kind of say anything?
I think you covered it.
Yep.
I am a very good person.
No, he wasn't. His mum had a bit of a god, don't get me wrong, because they used to live up here. Bailey wasn't like that. He had two half-caste sisters, so how could he have been bad, you know? But Bailey wasn't racist. That far from it. Yeah. He wasn't a bully, he was a good lad.
Oh no.
See him, and then wearing it, he would say, oh yeah, no, she will, you know. But even doing...
Because he got portrayed, the way the media portrayed it was that Bailey was a horrible racist kid and that Jamal was an innocent little refugee.
He wasn't. Far from it.
He was a 15-year-old kid, and it would have been, could be, have a great future. He's a very articulate lad. He's got a lot of issue about justice. Yeah, I think, I could have seen him being a lawyer or something like that because he has that in him. Really? Yeah. And he would stand up for his peers in school where he felt things were. Yeah, he would do that. I just want to tell the truth about Bailey.
Yeah, well...
His life was destroyed.
Well, that's not fair either, is it?
As a racist bully, he wasn't.
And he wasn't.
I know.
You and I both know that.
I know.
But the truth is just...
You were picking, I think you picked... And I don't know who, somebody pushed him to get him off.
He started calling my mum a white fat bitch and stuff, and then he like.
He started calling you mummy
A white fat bitch.
a white fat bitch.
And then I went up to him, and then I chucked the bottle at him, and then he put me in a headlock, and then my mate pushed him off me.
And I believe that's how he broke his arm.
Yeah.
So he had you in a headlock.
Yeah.
So he physically assaulted you.
Yeah.
You said he called your mum a white bitch.
Yeah.
Is that sort of terminology he uses a lot?
Yeah.
There are all sorts of misconceptions, like the fact that he had a broken arm.
I've got 2 independent witnesses,
No,
Terry.
he hit a year 8 kid. And another kid in year 11 stepped in and said, "What are you doing?" Pushed him over. Broke his arm.
Who he had in a headlock.
It must have been just start of year 11. Put this kid in a headlock. One of my friends wasn't having it. Didn't like how he was behaving. Grabbed him and just threw him off him. Like anyone do break up a fight, they just like throw him off him. But this wasn't a fight. This was an all-out brawl, one-sided, completely one-sided. Because this kid had no match against Jamal. Just threw him off him and he landed on a curb.
How big was the kid? Jamal was in year 11.
Yeah, half the size of Jamal easily.
Okay. You know, I know he was 12 and Jamal was 15.
But it was like kind of like half size-ish, kind of like up to shoulders kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he still had no match against him. And my friend just grabbed him, threw him off him, and he landed on a curb. And that was like it.
So I've read it reported in by Jeremy Vine and in the newspapers that that was an incident of Jamal being bullied.
No, exact opposite. He was bullying this kid.
So you see, people thought that was all part of it.
But that's, do you know why
Can somebody be thrown to the floor with a broken arm?
But do you know why they thought it was part of it? Because the solicitor said it was.
No, well, that's not true. That genuinely is not true. I could even name I won't, but I could name the child in year 8 that he did it to. And I could name the child in year 11 that stepped in.
So someone stepped in.
Because basically the school's a pretty good place. Kids have good values. So if you saw a bigger kid hitting a little kid, you step in and say, "What are you doing?" Yeah, and we even had it where...
Do you know what he said to the year 8 kid?
No.
Called his mum a white slag.
Yes. Now
I've got that on camera as well.
Now you say it, yes, he would have done that, and that would have been incredibly provocative for him.
So as a girl at that school, when you saw the portrayal of what happened with Bailey and him, because he was painted as this innocent little kid.
He wasn't innocent. It's out of level.
It's out of level.
And I used to see him bully Bailey's little sisters.
Or Bailey McLaren. Bailey was referred to Luke.
I'll pause there a second. Anyone wants to make any comment or anything so far? So we heard again kind of disturbing character of the Syrian refugee boy, as well as the kind of potential future character of the white British boy, which at this stage currently got destroyed. But anyone wants to make any comment so far?
Yeah, briefly. So referring to somebody, and I saw it in the chat, as a white slag, which is obviously a derogatory term, but bringing their race into that, is that not racist, or how are we doing that? Oh yeah, never were white.
Yeah, if you are Syrian refugee, it's not racist, and if you are white person, it's not racist.
No,
sorry. If you are black person who is saying it, you are not racist.
Okay.
Now, the white, if I understood what I heard correctly, the white boys' sisters that were threatened by rape by the
Syrian
immigrant,
yeah.
by the Sunni by the refugee, they were not white themselves, right?
Yeah.
They were half, so I'm assuming they're half black, half white. So he's defending women of color?
Doesn't look like that the case. Just disturbing, isn't it?
Well, let me ask a question here. I'm not sure where the racial, that we're not talking about ethnicity here. We're talking about race. If they made this a racial thing, it made it not an ethnic thing. Okay, so what category would Syrians be put? They're not Arab, right? Middle Eastern definitely, but what race would that fall into?
Are you using logic? They're not white, which makes them a minority, which makes them oppressed.
But would they be white? we're talking former Roman Empire here. Right?
John, hold on. The logic that you're using is not welcome here within this context.
We're not doing the Am I Racist movie right now.
No, but basically he had a little bit more melanin in his skin, right? Than say you.
Yes.
So that would
I
make
am,
him a non quote unquote white. That would make him
okay. If that's a definition, then I am transparent, and so I'm like ultra white, bleached. Okay, enough said.
So that's their basically any. And honestly, if it'll get you paid, then sure, that, you know.
So, would you kind of think I am white, John?
I would say, because if we're talking about, okay, basically 3 maybe divisions. I don't know where this all divide goes, because who knows, right? So you've got European, Asian, because huge people, you know, stretching from India to Korea's, you know, right, and then African, and then maybe the Americas. I mean, how far would you slice that up? How closely would you go?
I'll say this, I've had access to certain records to where most Arabs or most people that come from, say, countries like Syria, or when they check the box, they check white. Like, you know, in America, it's usually, are you African? Are you Black / African American? Are you Hispanic? Are you Black of non-Hispanic descent? Like, are you white? And it just has a white box. Like, y'all don't get any categories, you know, you're just white. And most, or you check other, but most people that come from, say, Middle Eastern places or Middle Eastern countries or even Arab countries, they check, no matter how dark they are, they check white.
No, the reason I asked the question, because like I would have the similar skin color with Syrians. So if you identify me as white, then Syrians would be white. If you identify me as Black, then Syrians are Black. If you identify me as brownish, Syrians are brownish. So we would have the similar skin color. That's why I ask. But yeah, in here, English child has kind of non-white sisters, and Syrian refugee kind of uses those kind of languages towards those kids, as well as calling this woman white, swearing words.
Well, we all know how Muhammad felt about black people anyway, so
What
there's that too.
From my perspective, what do you expect from someone who is father's name Jihad, as well as who follows a prophet called Muhammad and follows God called Allah? Because the language he uses at school towards women, all that kind of gives you the way he's looking at them. But it seems no one cares about that.
Well, that, and it seems that obviously he's trying to incite people to do something. And it's very obvious he goes after the families. He attacks the families directly. It's like, ooh, okay. And definitely understanding a bit about that culture, that would be a grave insult to anyone based upon his culture he comes from.
Yeah.
Would be, you start attacking the family, you start attacking their honor, you start questioning that, there'd be repercussions.
Yeah. But yeah, I think also really quickly before you move on, they get to be transracial because they get to check the box as white, but when something happens, they get to come under the minority box as well.
I can't wait the days that I am under the minority box.
You're a Christian sister, as you told me, it no longer matters.
Oh.
It comes with the benefits. So this is about a white child now. Let's look at this.
Cams by Luton and Dunstable Psychiatry Liaison on the 31st of December 2018. Huddersfield, and has been relocated to Luton with family. patient unable to cope with not returning home and has taken an over that time. What do you think what the media done? So this lot.
I think the media fucking blew it out of fucking proportion. They weren't fucking waterboarding at all.
I know. But then the media run that Jamal was being bullied. Like,
you see, he used to complain that he used to be bullied. There was another, I think, Kirkley's guy that came, that Jamal said somebody got a knife him or something. I think that should be on record.
Yeah.
I think when we investigated, I think it was a lot of bollocks.
I'm gathering that by reading the school records. He made accusations, and then when they're investigated,
and there were a lot of bollocks.
He lied. Not Bailey's. Led to Bailey and his family being driven from their home in the middle of the night. Like the very refugees you claim you care about. The hate you incited was off the scale. Men with machetes had arrived at the school. Gangs were roaming the streets looking for Bailey.
I think the BMW X5, and there were about 6 Asian lads, and they threatened to firebomb the house.
God.
Yeah. They also they threatened to shoot.
To shoot the mum.
The mum. They threatened to rape kids.
Well, they come outside and done all that.
They shouting and screaming.
Shouting and screaming.
Stuff like that.
Well, I saw the video because a neighbour had shared it. And then I saw on the Yorkshire Live them making Bailey out to be really horrible and that Jamal was a poor little victim, and it wound me up. So I commented on it. The victim wasn't a victim. He hit me in the back with a hockey stick. And then within the space of 2 hours, I had about 250 comments saying that I was lying, that I must have been excluded from the school because I'm a liar. Just horrible comments like that. None of them believe in me.
And did you take the comment down?
Yeah, I didn't want to, but my mum was worried for repercussions, so she asked me to take it down, so I did.
This is the area that he was originally going to sue the school for not looking after him, and then decided to sue.
Let's pause there for a bit. So, white British boy or white boy is getting threats. People are turning up to his house, threatening his mom, telling them they're gonna shoot her and rape kids.
Wow. This is the religion of peace. I thought we're supposed to protect all women at all costs. Clearly not.
Yeah,
so this is
what.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what happened to the believe all women? Go ahead, John.
I was going to say that we just did a review on Lady of Heaven, and in that movie, they were saying that Islam is tolerant and peaceful, loving, and that's what Muhammad wanted them to do. And it goes through this, and I'm looking at that and say, this is not the same kind of teaching that you hear from imams out in the Middle East. This is something that's geared for Western society. And so, but by the actions that we see here, it seems like they're fulfilling what is being taught out in the Middle East.
And even in the Lady of Heaven, the Muslims who protested that came and said, see, there was no violence at all. Well, when this is your past, where you're showing up at people's houses and threatening them, yeah, that's the background that causes people to fear you, and then they roll over if they have no actual convictions.
And another thing was on those documents is, I'm guessing you also picked up that expert comes from the council and then expressed that Syrian refugee is not trustworthy.
He's not the victim that he claims to be.
Correct. This is the documentation there.
Yeah.
From the school.
And no, this is from the council that paid those teachers off.
Yeah. So council sends expert.
Yes.
And expert states that. school already expressed that he was a liar, all those kind of things. Like they've got school report kind of expresses, yeah, this child is very bad character and dangerous. You've got council experts says actually not very trustworthy. You've got individuals are expressing that.
Yeah, this does not sound like Tommy is making this up. This is just his own testimony here. He's reporting on the testimony of these others. Now, the way that he's doing it could be leading the witnesses. However, we're trying to do this quickly, wrap it up, and he's getting the information. If he was to sit there and talk for somebody for a couple hours, this information might come out on its own, but he's trying to get this information out on the spot.
Yeah, he's not even in the house, like people, because people are expressing, I've been paid, I can't talk to you. So he's just having quick chit chat outside.
Right.
Instead, who told him to put this in his statement to the High Court? You see, Jamal doesn't like to break the school rules. Here's the problem. This is his behaviour record. Almost 100 codes for bad behaviour. Truancy, verbal abuse to teachers, physical violence towards pupils, and lying. Yeah, there's plenty for lying. You see, I haven't got all of Jamal's school records. Large sections of documents I was given were blacked out. We tried to get access, but we weren't allowed. And the lawyers wrote to the court to explain they had misplaced documentation. You see, I was told he'd violently attacked a girl. I was told he'd attacked someone as part of a gang. And I was told he'd threatened to stab someone. In fact, Jamal had violently attacked more than one girl. And we presented the evidence to the court, including the testimony of courageous children who came to court. These children weren't Tommy Robinson fans, but they came to the High Court to speak the truth. So let me just look at one of the pupils that come to court and testified. This young girl wasn't a supporter of mine, didn't support my...
Sorry, he's just like now responding what happened after the court. So he gathered all those informations used in the court. Some people turn up to the court to kind of testify. Now we will get to hear the kind of conclusion of it.
Politics, but she still came to court and testified. Let me have a look at her school record and read what her teacher says about her. Charlie is a very mature and hard-working member of the Forum. She has been an absolute pleasure to have in the Forum. She has represented the Forum in the school council and in various events across the school throughout the school year. She represents all that is positive and exciting about studying at Almonbury. Charlie is now currently studying law at university. Why would this girl randomly lie, before I was involved? Why would she then travel to the High Court of London and commit perjury? Because that is what the judge has found, that she's made it all up. And Jamal, the Syrian refugee, the one with multiple lies on his school records and behavioural disciplinaries everywhere, well, he was telling the truth. The judge says that people can lie for reasons that make no sense. Sometimes for no reason at all. He could not readily identify any explanation.
I'm not sure if I should have paused it or let it go and then go back. Let me play and then we come back here. Sorry.
For why some of these people were prepared to do so and lie. He concludes the alleged assaults, they never happened at all. Despite Jamal's school record, which you've seen, the judge states the claimant's record is overwhelmingly positive. He acknowledged Jamal has a record of lying, but decides on this occasion it is Jamal who's telling the truth and everyone else completely is lying. On the day the 5 courageous children appeared in the dock, giving testimony against Jamal. Jamal didn't even show up in court that day.
Okay, so judge kind of heard the testimony of the 5 girls. Judge read the reports and then judge decided Syrian refugees telling the truth and everyone else is lying. And Tommy kind of misguided people and then had to pay a lot of money.
My question is, what was this judge smoking to make the claim that people will just lie for no reason at all? They'll just come to court and lie straight up? No, there's always a reason behind what they're doing, unless they're a habitual liar. And if they're a habitual liar, then you should see that in their history, where they have lied and been caught multiple times. But we don't see that on any of the kids' reports, except for the refugees.
Other thing is, like, if you look at the page on the screen, the girl who said, like, I got hit by hockey stick and I'm still in painkillers, and two adult individual of the school staff expressed, yeah, that was the case, and judge decided that was false. I don't know how come he come to that conclusion. I am sure he's like,
well, if we look at if we look at everything else that's piled up here, we're looking at media manipulation, how the media handled it all. The judicial censorship goes hand in hand with that. So you see the courts almost working lockstep with the press to suppress what's actually going on.
Yeah. Very concerning. Like, I don't know how you hear different testimonies, see written evidence, yet you have the conclusion that they are all lying. I don't know.
Now, granted, we're only seeing this documentary. We're only seeing it from what's being presented by Tommy Robinson. However, there does seem to be a preponderance of evidence here, eyewitness accounts and so forth, and records that are pointing this direction. As we see later what's going to happen coming up, that's the clincher. This is not something that's just, oh, there's two sides, one story, and you're only hearing one side or anything like that. No, you can see the follow-up that happens to this, and that just goes lock, stock, and barrel with everything else that we've seen.
And other thing is helpful to remember, he was told he cannot talk about any of those things. And up to today, I don't know, I don't think there is anyone, but maybe like someone just turned up, like no one is kind of debunking those testimonies at all. But that's how it is right now.
So there's another thing here too, that if you're in court and you have witnesses that are coming up and a group pays those witnesses not to talk, that's tampering with witnesses, and that's a crime. Yet we have evidence here that the state did that. So is that not tampering with witnesses?
Well, so in England, in one of my conversation, police said police doesn't have any right to force anyone to testify. Doesn't matter, they uphold the information. So if I've got information that affects the case, police doesn't have right to force me to share that information. But like in a bigger picture, I am very much where if you've got information that affects the whole case, that should information be shared. Sometimes people are being held accountable for not sharing that information. But as I said, also, I'm very much aware that in one of my conversations, police expressed to me that police cannot force anyone to share the information they have about one of the cases I was involved.
Okay.
It's interesting how they conveniently use it, and like if you don't, divulge information, you can go to prison. If you do divulge information, and like I said, I could see if this was an ongoing trial of some sort, to where you could compromise, say, the outcome of the case. But this is a clear-cut case of a cover-up, and it just seems like, honestly, it goes back to your choice words, Hatun, of demitude. This is exactly demitude.
Well, so judge decides Syrian refugee was innocent, and Tommy Robinson kind of shared false information about him. Even though individuals came and testified, their testimony was not reliable, and he had to pay £100,000. That's of course extra income for a Syrian refugee who did GoFundMe account. And judge ordered Tommy Robinson that he cannot share anything linked with this case. So he put up everything on video, on documentary.
So I would assume, because I haven't heard anything to the contrary, that of course the Syrian refugee was also required not to share any information at all, and everyone was required to stay quiet about this.
I don't know that.
No.
Oh, okay.
Because they're still
okay.
the obvious answer is no, because they're still spreading the same story around the world that this was hate crime. If the judge was being impartial, he would silence both if he's silencing one. But instead, he said only for one to be silenced.
Yeah, it's for Tommy Robinson, yeah.
Again, guys, you make a big deal about something, it makes it more interesting to look at. Don't press the big red button. I'm pressing the button.
Yeah, honestly, I would probably show up at that judge's house every day because you're so evil.
Anyway, I do have a couple of more pictures. John, you send it to me. Do you want me to put them on the screen? Because the video edited I did, I didn't include any of the things, kind of.
Sure, if you feel they're pertinent to the conversation, by all means.
Well, you thought they were important, so I'll pick up that.
Okay.
Because as I said, like my main goal is, so when I set up my GoFundMe account to say Hatun is the great person to work with, I will be using you.
As a reference? Oh, that's a big mistake.
It might work. I'll be woman of color in that fundraising. Okay.
Okay.
It might help. Anything about this Mr. Muslim? He's the one who kind of behind most of mobs in England.
You said he's behind most of what in England?
Mob. Like when the groups are turning up in front of the schools or in front.
Oh, yeah. Did they shut the school down shortly after this incident happened? They came out and said,
"Yeah, there is no. It's all gone."
Okay, so I do have one statement. I'm kind of holding this back, but I think this is probably an opportune time to say this. I have seen several incidences for now. This can be true for either individual police officers or an entire police force within a city. They are to keep the peace. Now, if you have 30 jihadis and one, let's say, street preacher that's standing there, and the 30 jihadis come up and they're making all sorts of insults, it looked like they were going to attack this guy or woman, let's say. Let's say you have a woman out there and she's a street preacher and these jihadis are coming out against her. The police arrive and they say, we've either got to deal with these 30 hotheads or deal with this one person. We're going to arrest this one person, get her out of here so we can maintain the peace. She's a lot easier to deal with than these guys. So it's a matter of expediency over righteousness. You're pushing back the truth. This is what really needs to be dealt with. These guys over here. But it's easier just to deal with this one person. Now, I'm not saying that all cops do that. I'm not saying that that is a policy in all police forces. But I could see that being the issue. The problem with that, it has very bad long-term consequences, because if you see a violent group get its way over and over again, this other group is eventually going to say, heck with it. We're going to do the same thing, because we're not able to see justice being done in any other way. we're going to do it so that we get justice just like what these guys are. But unfortunately, the press and other institutions in society tend to side for a particular group. And that's true in the UK. I also see it in the US and other Western societies, where even if this group does try the same tactics, they very well could be stymied because public opinion would be pushed against them.
And that's how we eventually get to vigilantes taking justice in their own hands, because they don't want to be known for it because they're going to be targeted, but they know what needs to happen, and they're not getting fulfilled through the justice system, so they are going to feel that this is the only way for truth and justice actually to occur is by doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Stopping it here is much easier.
I mean, but do you think that is the overall goal? And I'm not like a big conspiracy theorist, but it just seems like the West, I'll say England and America, for instance, looking at their policing, it seems like they want to reward the wicked and punish the righteous. And they go against their own rules in order to do it for the immediacy of quote unquote peace of mind, not knowing that, again, if people feel hopeless, like in this situation, people feel helpless, that I cannot protect my family, I cannot protect my child, people will take like you said, people will take matters into their own hands. And then all of a sudden people say, well, look at that person. No, not look at that person. You created this monster, now deal with it.
So one of the things results with mob to be able to rule or control the police, even in one occasion, because once they see they've done it, it happens second time. So those things becomes unwritten laws in Britain. So from now on, that when police sees the mob, police learns to not deal the mob, just there to please the mob. These become unwritten laws, and then it is very much well practiced. This gentleman caused a teacher and his family to be get into hide, because this gentleman wanted to defend the honor of Muhammad, therefore went after the school teacher who wanted to have a discussion on the freedom of speech. He showed the pictures of Muhammad. So that he's like, it's been years and he's still on hide. Why? Because this gentleman knows he can rule. This gentleman knows he can control the police. Yes, he's got links with the council, with the government, but also he put those principles as the unwritten laws in Britain, which police is willing to bow down and do it. Very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Like a child. Only 15 years old. All of his life is changed. He's got medical reports expressing how he's been affected by being called racist and all the changes he and his family went through. His sisters, his mom's life is being affected. Why? Because police was willing to bow down to the mob. Police is willing to become a dhimmi for these idiot mobs. Very, very disturbing. When it comes to adults, you don't get that much affected. But when you see it destroys the future of our children, just wrong. Just like high level wrong. Idiot Muslim. Sorry, just. And he's the brother of that idiot Muslim. His brother is a council. So he knows he's got power behind them. They can rule and reign. That's what they've been doing. That's how they destroyed the life of that child at school. Idiots.
So just to be clear, this is the younger brother of, I don't know, was that an imam in the previous image?
I'll call him Mop, yeah, but he's imam, yes.
Okay.
Mufti, apparently. Apparently he's a mufti.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
idiot.
And so his younger brother is on council. And so you see where we have a change in culture. I guess when you have, I believe in immigration. I think immigration is good. All my grandparents were immigrants. Okay. I have to be careful how I say that, not saying all my grandparents.
I am immigrant.
Yeah.
I am immigrant. Okay. Be careful.
Yeah. But it's a simulation into the culture. You're coming to that other place. You're to be a part of that culture, not necessarily transport your culture. Now, if you got some good food, we'd all like to eat some good food. So that's part of it. Okay, bring that. Maybe some good music, whatever. But the baseline of the culture, especially morality, if you come in, your morality should then be a part of that. If I go to Japan, if I go to live in Japan, I'm not going to try to change their culture. I'm going to adopt Japanese ways. I'll still be Christian. I'll still do some things at home and stuff like that, but I would adopt their ways. I'd speak their language, use their currency, everything like that. I wouldn't try to change it. If you have huge groups of people that have come in that do not melt in, but it's like you're making a stew and it just doesn't melt. It's just these big chunks. Then there's an issue with it, especially if it's contrary to the rest of that culture. Like how they treat women, how they, Sharia law, getting Sharia law installed there. That's kind of scary.
So when I came to England, I had to learn, okay, if I want to buy something, I need to get on the line, wait until my turn comes so I buy things. I had to learn, okay, I cannot throw rubbish on the streets. I had to learn, wait for the bus. Bus will come. You just need to get on the line to get in the bus, get out of the bus. You learn to go and eat fish and chips on Fridays, all those. So very basic things British culture has, yet Turkish culture doesn't have. So you adopt them because you are there to live there under their law. If I have a problem with British law, then I go back. I cannot bring, you just need to kind of, if you love your culture that much, if you love calling woman white bitch, if you like raping kids, and those kids were at age 9 at that stage, why are you moving? Why are you coming to country?
Well, part of that is jihad, right? Spreading Islam. The house of, what is it? The house, oh gosh, guys, help me out. Yeah. There's 2 houses here, right?
So I understand that is the reason. That is the reason, but I have a problem with that.
But we should.
I have
100%.
And I am immigrant. I have a problem with that. Imagine British people, they should have problem with that, but no, most of British people don't have much problem with it. But just concerning, really concerning. So they put those individuals in the place of authority and they rule and they bring their disturbing cultures and then let those cultures to be practiced. In Muslim countries, maybe the mobs are winning. Yes, we remember from the movie Lady of Heaven. Yeah, mobs were ruling. And now they brought those ugly cultures into Britain. Teachers, people who are there to educate the next generation are hiding simply because these idiot mobs are ruling. Police is simply dimmy because these unwritten blasphemy laws are being practiced. And this is the very gentleman who his group paid £274,000 to keep people silent so that they can turn blind eye when there is injustice. That's his counsel. Anyway, sorry, that I was just complaining. Continue. Anyone wants to make any comment?
No, you're on a roll. We don't want to stop you.
No, that's good.
Okay, and this is again mob is ruling, and that guy is the one who is leading that mob.
Yeah, so they started with that last image. in the video, it showed them just they came to protest what had happened to the Syrian boy. Said, okay, he's a victim. We need to, toss the teachers out, and eventually started chanting, toss the I think the headmaster out. I think that's what they were starting to get into. So this group is demanding a change to the school, which I believe did happen, right?
Yeah.
And it's again the mob rule. Just keep the peace. Just keep calm. We'll do whatever you say. And basically giving into, I don't know if it's a terrorist, but giving into the threat that is given by the mob.
I'll label it as terrorist because they are causing terror in the hearts of teacher and his family.
Specifically for political change.
Yeah.
So that does actually meet the definition of a terrorist mob.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's different topic, but they did that in the same area. An autistic boy, 14 years old, dropped the Quran on the floor. Police is present, come to mosque and beg for the life of her son so that Muslims don't hurt him. Very disturbing. Police is sitting there and just nodding. So they are able to bring these unwritten blasphemy laws in Britain, and those laws are being practiced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and mob ruled and teacher is still hiding.
And this is, again, I keep seeing a theme of cowardice throughout here that allows these mobs to rule and reign.
I want to make a comment about culture. Sometimes we would, even as Christians, we poo-poo and say, it's just culture, just no big deal. But law, the legal system, is downstream from culture. There are still some what they call blue laws here in the States where you can't do certain things on Sunday because it's left over from earlier generations where you keep the Sabbath holy and so on and so forth. But those laws are still on the books, but no one enforces them because no one does it. So culture, then eventually out of culture comes the law. If we allow our culture to change radically, we'll find that our laws will change radically, and that's where we see these holdouts, these enclaves of areas where it's just basically it's Islamic law that is holding that place over.
Yeah, and to build off what you said, I think even in our society where there was an integration at one point into the culture, or if you didn't, you kind of made it look like you did blend into the culture. You came to the 4th of July picnics. You actually even celebrated Christmas at one point, I remember. But because we've changed into we've emphasized the individual, the importance of the individual more. Now they get to break off into their pockets, into their and the more violent, the more powerful culture that has influence, even though they may not have the numbers, they're going to beat out everyone. If we look at, say, the West, LGBTQIA, whatever other letters they want to add, the silent hieroglyph, they're a small percentage of the population, but because they're the loudest, they're the more forceful. They're pretty much reigning and ruling in the West, whereas you have Islam and them reigning and ruling in the West. You don't want to be seen as whatever phobic or Islamophobic.
So I'm not sure what all, John, you had highlighted. Did you have a section on Tommy being served papers?
Yeah.
Because that's like one of the most important things, I think. in this entire thing is the way that was handled.
Oh yeah, just the amount of underhanded activity there.
Yeah, how they kind of no, we focused on what was happening at school and how did judge make the decision. But of course, there were lots of things people can watch in full documentary, how organizations were handling the case. So, anyone wants to talk about it?
Yeah.
So I did have some slides, but they were just clipped at the end, more or less, where he had a lot of statements that were made. I captured that, like these here, and I think maybe those are the only ones that might fit what you're looking for.
So, essentially, Tommy had papers that were needing to be served, and so, of all the people who could have delivered them, not that they even, I'm not really sure what the laws there are as far as if they need to be hand delivered or how that works.
Yeah, if you are being served, like if someone is taking action against you, you need to, like, they cannot post the mail, so someone needs to hand that over to you. So in Tommy's case, what they've done is this jihadi lawyer who deals with the jihadi cases, kind of that those jihadis are innocent. He finds very dangerous guy who's been hunting Tommy Robinson down for years, gives Tommy Robinson's address to him, and then tells him, go and serve this paper.
While Tommy is out of state, or out of country.
Out of country, yeah.
But,
his kids are at home.
Yeah, with his wife. His kids are playing outside. And they've already been told by the police. The police had showed up and talked to them and said, like, these people want to kill you.
Yeah, like, police turns up to Tommy's house and then says, well, we've got intelligence that they're gonna harm you. They tell his wife, like, oh, that someone is gonna throw acid on you from this group, all, like, they share all this information, and then to cause threat, and then make people to kind of be quiet, so that they get afraid because their loved ones in danger. So they send this very, very dangerous guy,
who then also broadcasts
Live
his home
streams.
location.
Yeah.
Which there's so many levels of evil here. And then he goes on, the guy that was just up on screen goes on to say, I'm gonna mince your kids. I think that was the wording that he used. So he makes a public threat again against his family, and he clearly has the means to take action on that threat. He clearly does show up at the house. It's just so concerning, but no legal action was taken against him.
Yep.
Even though all of this is documented, there's clear proof of all of this. Tommy followed up on this so many times. To my knowledge, his family followed up on this as well. Nothing. And then I think they were told a couple times, like, oh, well, we can't see, like, that police report. We can't see, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's clear evidence against this. What's going on?
Yeah, it's very common. It's very common, like, you report things to the police, and then when you call them and then you say, okay, can you please provide some details of my case, which I reported this, and then they just like, oh, I don't have anything that you reported on this. Like, those, what you reported just get lost.
Yeah. And I would say another thing is the fact that when this person initiated contact by, threatening his family, how the police turns around and tries to set Tommy up by listening to him and trying to tap his house for sound.
Oh, yeah.
And basically waiting for him to respond to what. In other words, this is wrong. You know that anybody under these circumstances would respond, even if just a verbal threat. right? Like, whatever, if you threaten my family, I'm going to XYZ. You know that. So you sit outside of this man's house in an effort to get him arrested. I'm telling you, folks, England, the West, not only just England, and you see this in a lot of, it's fallen. The West has fallen without one shot fired.
I think we should. I think we can still fight for it. I think we can still. There has been a lot of changes, but I'm not ready to give up.
I'll continue to preach the glorious gospel.
Well, that's the solution. His gospel is the solution to this all. But it's very much concerning, like, as you are watching this documentary, how certain groups are able to affect outcome of the court case. Like, this gentleman is simply being sent so that Tommy gets scared for his family and not prepare for the court case, all that. They didn't send him all the documents which they supposed to be sending lawyers, but like regarding Syrian child's background, all that. They hold the information intentionally from him that he doesn't prepare for the case, all that. It is very difficult, just like listening this, to come to conclusion that, yeah, this case was pretty equal leveled for both sides. That's very difficult conclusion to come. It is very easy to conclude that individuals played outcome of this case and it was not right.
From what I understand, too, I don't know when you're going to get to this or if you are going to get to it. At some point in the documentary, he started talking about his ex-wife, and I thought, oh, well, he had a previous marriage, and he's currently married, and he has this whole ordeal caused a divorce, and I'm not sure the circumstances surrounding it, but at the very least,
so
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When people went after his kids and after his wives, I think when first they start going after his wife, she was okay. But once they start also going after the kids, in the video, Tommy Robinson is having conversation with his son, that they got his son's phone number. They called his son to scare him. So with all that, his wife needed to make a decision to protect the kids, so they separated. He got divorced. Otherwise, everything was going to be very like they were coming after the kids, and mom wanted to protect the kids, so they separated.
That is so tragic. It sounded like when he was talking to her on the phone, it wasn't that there was fights or irreconcilable differences. It was to protect the children, but he had to make the choice, because I don't know how many other people going through this would have said, yeah, I'll stand up for this, but when it comes to my kids, I can't risk them, and just cave. That's difficult. And there is a demand for Jesus too, unless you're willing to give up family for the gospel's sake. Even you have to be willing to do that. Yeah. And my hat's off to Tommy, if he's not a believer, to stand up that much. And still, I'm not sure that'd be very difficult to do with your wife, to break up and to save your children.
Yeah. I think that phone conversation was like so sad. When he was talking his son, and it was like very, very heartbreaking. But yeah, so they came after him and after his family, even after his kids, to make sure that laws are not being well practiced, so he doesn't prepare for the court case. Because even in the video, he says, like, before everything went to court, a law of the Syrian refugee asked Tommy Robinson for £50,000, and he didn't pay the money. Therefore, they went to court. And then at the end, he had to they asked him to pay like over $1,000, over £100,000 and then he had bankruptcy, and then after that they asked him to pay like £25,000 for the damages or for expenses.
Yeah, we would call that lawfare. Someone using the law to just basically bludgeon you to death, just by death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. So Syrian refugee has been given £157,000 by British public for GoFundMe, and the judge ordered him to pay another £100,000.
A neat little $250,000 there.
Yeah. Anyway, so all these things, of course, out there, if anyone wants to kind of financially contribute to Tommy Robinson, or everything is going on the case. At the end of the video, he's got details of how you can financially do that. If anyone kind of felt that Lord is calling you, or your conscience is not clear that you want to support that financially, you can simply go to the website and then check things out. But overall, very much messed up. Very much messed up. Yeah, so that was the kind of documentary. Once it has been published, meant for Tommy Robinson to break the law, since he published it, and end up in prison for 18 months currently with jihadis.
I mean, pulling it all the way back to the start, why this matters to us in a lot of ways is this is one random kid at school dumped water on another kid. That's what it boils down to. If you think that your kid might possibly dump water on another kid's head, well, that could have been your kid very easily.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
C.S. Lewis said, the closer you come to the end of an age, it's more obvious who is serving God and who is not. And even though Tommy may not be a Christian, I'm not sure what his relationship is with Christ.
He's a Christian.
What's that?
He's not a Christian.
Okay. He is at least has the amount of courage that every one of us needs to have, to be able to stand up in facing down the beast and say, I will not bow the knee. And so we need to pick our fights carefully. But when we do, to stand. When everything else is failing, to take a stand. And even Ephesians chapter 6 says that before it talks about the armor of God. It says, stand therefore. And so I think that's what each one of us needs to do.
Yeah. And it's important that people who we disagree, we let them speak. Still they are human. They need to bring their voices. Because I disagree with Tommy Robinson doesn't mean he should shut up. Just wrong. You just feel it's wrong.
What's that? It's the extreme one-sidedness of this. I mean, if Tommy Robinson would have had his documentary, released it, and no one said anything about it, there was no legal action taken, nothing like that, it might have made its rounds, but that would have been more or less the end of it as far as that, unless he pursued it further and tried to push it further. The very fact that they went to such extremes to try to stop this indicates there's something here.
Or at the first, judge kind of looks at the evidence that we just saw and then makes wiser decision, things wouldn't be like this. But that's England now.
Doesn't have to stay that way. Does not
it's
have to. I'll tell you, there is light at the end of the tunnel here. Here in the U.S., we also see a lot of this coming down. I mentioned some of it earlier, but I do see some things changing. I'm not sure exactly why. It's kind of weird. The Washington Post is run by Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, one of the richest guys in the world. Both the Washington Post and the New York Times, or the Los Angeles Times, both refused to endorse a presidential candidate. And you had a lot of people on a certain side of the political spectrum very angry about this and quit. But I'm not saying that they're starting to become libertarians or anything like that, but you do see some cracks in the facade. People are starting to see through the lies in the system. And I think that offers an amount of hope. And of course, we know I hate to tell you this, but I read the end of the Bible, and we win. So there is that.
Yeah,
there is that.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know where Sister Kay is. She's gone. Just any other racist person lives the lifestyle. There she's back. That's just not.
Man, you call her racist, and there she goes. She pops right back on. Wow, her ears must have been burning.
Oh my gosh. Sister Kay, it's been all about you.
It's all about Jesus. That was the end of all the things I kind of picked up from the documentary. What I did was I just wanted to pull the testimonies together so that we can see what has been happened in the court a couple of years ago, and then talk about judge decision that Tommy Robinson cannot talk about this, and all that. And then when he talked about it yesterday, he was sentenced for 18 months in a prison where other lovely jihadists there. So there is gentleman in that prison who wants to pay people to murder me as well. So he might be a good friend, or Muslims' prayer might be answered that he might leave the prison as converting Islam. You never know, Muslims would say, or he leave the prison by making every Muslim ex-Muslim. You never know. So lots of things might happen. Good thing is the Lord Jesus Christ knows what is happening, what will happen.
Now, just to let the audience know, if you are curious in watching this, it is online. So you can watch the entire thing online. I think it's on X, and it's also on Rumble.
Yeah, I will put the link to Tommy's Twitter page on the description for people to kind of watch it. I need to find the link though. Yeah,
watch it, judge for yourself.
Yeah. Anyone wants to kind of bring up anything else, because it's like after midnight right now.
Wow.
This is my second time my beauty sleep is being crushed. Effects of that is all over the internet now. Look,
you get
wrinkles. Look, they
you
say
get beauty sleep.
They say blacks don't crack, but now I'm like, people are gonna call me not black because I crack right now.
You don't need beauty sleep. It just comes right through.
Does it?
Blacks.
Oh yeah, John, you need glasses. I forgot. But I would, on a serious note, my prayer is, for his safety and salvation. And yes, I'm not willing to give up in terms of the gospel, but I mean, there's so many. I guess I would say, just studying ancient societies and their falls, it's just like, wow, why does this read very similar in some cases?
It's very scary, yes.
But remember that Habakkuk said, in Habakkuk 2:4, that the just will live by faith, even though, the you know, right before the fall and the sacking of, you know, God's people, those of us that believe we are always in a better position no matter what goes on around us.
Amen.
For those that don't believe, I pray that you do come to the full knowledge of Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and have the peace that regardless of what you see going on around you, the injustices, the wickedness, and pray for those. Those people are evil. They are literally, that judge is, you can tell, like the parable of the wicked, you know, judge, he is clearly wicked. And yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah, power of prayer, we cannot kind of underestimate that. So power of prayer is very, very powerful. Pray for Tommy. Easiest, he will be there like minimum of 9 months. He's been sentenced for 18 months, so not good.
I thought didn't they change the law where you only had to serve like a quarter of your sentence?
40 minimum of 40%. I understand that he was also told if he takes the documentary down from his social media account, his sentence will be coming down like 1 or 2 months. I don't think he will do that, but
how wicked do you have to be to play with someone's life like that?
That's what it's about. Yeah,
that's what it's about. It's about the documentary. It's about do not let people see this.
That means share it.
That means people need to see this.
Yeah,
that's right.
Share it in every platform.
As I said, doesn't matter you support him or you don't support him. People we don't support still have right to make their voices to be heard.
Yes.
That's very important. Like, I'm looking from Christian perspective. You give platform to people who you disagree. That's needs to be done. We want to hear what they say. But now we live in a times now people are intentionally trying to hide the truth away. So don't fall into that. Don't fall into that. Okay, so I am gonna kind of try to end the stream from here now. As I said, I'm expecting this video to not stay long or being blocked or shadow banned, all those kind of things. It's very common, happens with Tommy Robinson's videos on my channel, as well as this lovely email came in yesterday, was telling me consequences of talking about and showing the clips of this video. So if you can watch it fast. If it is not there, it is not there. It won't be there.
And I'd highly recommend download.
Oh yeah,
download the video.
Get a copy.
And share.
Put it up. Share it. Put it up. Post it.
I thought download Tommy Robinson's video. Yes, do that as well and share that as well. Okay, so let's do last roundabout. Your brother in Christ.
Last roundabout about what?
I was gonna say, like, what did you do to your wife? That's the first question, and then second question.
Kids.
That's
Kids
what
would be the
you
answer.
claim. We have no evidence. That's what you are claiming.
She evaporated.
So what is coming up for you in next coming days? How can people pray for you? Remind us again where people can find you.
Sure, you can find me mostly on YouTube or on TikTok under Your Brother in Christ on both of those platforms. Coming up, I do have a video I want to finally finish and get out on Thursday, but we'll see if that actually happens. If not, Saturday I do have an open Q&A live stream, which I should be joined by a couple of guests on there. And we will just allow open call-ins and open dialogue there. After all, that's kind of what I do most of the time on my channels, is either teachings or we're having open dialogue somehow.
So you are giving platform to people who disagree with you to call in.
Absolutely, and yell at me and cuss me out, and John's been there for some of that.
Usually I'm the one yelling and cussing. No, I'm not. I'm not cussing them out. The other people are.
You are just watching. You are just playing silence because you are paid how much? 100? 100.
Right. They're paying me off.
I get cut of that, right?
No.
Okay, what about you, John?
So people can find me on Amazon under John Newton. Look up science fiction author. I've got some short stories out there. We'll have a novel coming out in January, coming quick. If you want a sneak peek at that, let me know. Contact me and I'll get you that. Then I'm also on YouTube at newtonsci-fi.com, just like what you see under my name there. And that is, we go over different movies, talk about them, talk about how they can be used as a point of witness. Also talk about theology, apologetics, and we're going to be talking this Thursday coming up about on Halloween. We're going to talk about, should Christians watch horror movies? Is that something good? Is that something evil? Join the debate. We're going to have all sorts of people there.
So do you think should we watch it or not?
You should watch the debate, yes, but as far as
a horror movie,
I'm going to save that until Thursday.
You are just so
terrible.
Racist. You are so Islamophobe right now.
Eric from Your Brother in Christ has paid me off, so I cannot say anything.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I spent money.
Yes, you did. You didn't know it.
on him, yeah. Okay. It's good to be reminded that while people are celebrating darkness, Lord Jesus Christ comes as light to the world. So that's a great reminder to us. Sister Kay, how can people pray for you?
Oh, I thought you were paying me to keep silent.
Yeah, but
the saints can pray for. What'd you say?
Still, you need to say you pay me to keep silent.
I know. That's why I feel like I lost out on some money, $139,000 exactly. The saints can pray for me that I endeavor to, again, to stay strong and fight the good fight. I know that sounds cliche in a way, but to walk upright in the world and be a light and seize on those opportunities to share the gospel. You know, I don't want to walk away from conversations like, oh, that was a great opportunity to share the gospel, or to, invite someone to, come to the faith or even join me for church. That is definitely my prayer. And just a boldness, even though I do have boldness from time to time, but still, it might waver, but that I continually be bold, not just for anything, but bold for Christ and say what I ought as it pertains to the gospel.
Amen.
Yeah. And it's amazing, not only this week, we are being reminded that Lord Jesus Christ is the light to the darkness, but also we are reminded that he is sufficient enough. His word is sufficient enough for all. So great week. Started a little bit disturbing that individuals are ending up in prison simply not following the court orders, and then it all goes back because some people kind of made wrong decisions a couple of years ago. And your brother in Christ, how can we find your wife on social media?
It's El Iso Elohim. You can find it. Her channel name is the same here on YouTube as well.
Okay,
so that's where to find her.
And check it out in case there is like Surah 4 verse 34 is being practiced, therefore she's not around right now in the live stream, or she might have like mother responsibilities, so that needs to be checked out. For you to check that out, you can simply turn up the live streams they are going to do and then question them. That questioning is dangerous thing, so you can do those things and then figure that out. I really appreciate that with short notice, you made yourself available and then watch the documentary. And also you made yourself available to come and join me to talk about it. So really appreciate your brother in Christ, John, Sister Kay, and Al. Really appreciate that. In short notice, you were able to do that. And everyone who joined us in the live stream, thank you very much for being with us. It is good that it's Wednesday now. It's a new day, and we start the day with Christ. So Once again, thank you very much, everyone who joined me, and those of you who are in the chat. May Christ crucified silent you with his love until we see you again. God bless you all.
Good night.